What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another live stream of Let's Get Nuts. Thanks for coming back. Today, guys, we got some good panelists. Jose G Hernandez is actually making his entrance appearance on the Let's Get Nuts show, so we're going to have to grill him a little bit, let's be honest. We got Eddie Money Mendez in the back room as well, and Pete is on the way, as well as Classy Thomas, so stay tuned for that. I wonder if he's going to come with some new weird glasses for us. But guys, today we've got some Hot Toys news. We're going to talk a little bit about secondary market, kind of what's happening with that as well, and where do you get your figures on the secondary? I'm curious if it's the same here in Canada or where you guys get them. Also, I want to ask the team here and the panelists, what do they want to do with their life? What would they want to be when they grow up, even if they're already grown up? But guys, stick around. If you guys like the stream, of course, hit the like button for me. Smash the subscribe if you're new to the Ben Thomas Show. And with that, let's get nuts.
Come on, let's get nuts.
I give you Ben Thomas.
Showtime.
Here we go.
Alrighty, so we're going to start off with Jose G Hernandez because he's finally making his appearance on Let's Get Nuts. Good to see you, buddy. Thanks for coming in. You are muted.
Yes.
We can hear you.
There we
Awesome. That's awesome.
I'm excited, man. I'm pumped. First time on the show. So yeah, if you need to grill me, that's cool. I can take it. Let's get started, man.
For sure. You've always got some good opinions in the chat, so don't hold them back today. If you got anything divisive you want to say, it's an open forum here. We're gonna get a little nutty for sure, dude. Your collection behind you looking real crispy, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. What Chewbacca is that one? Which Chewbacca is that one? A New Hope.
New Hope.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Cool. So you got to take yourself on a collection tour for everybody then at some point.
So oh gosh, yeah.
It's harder than it seems at first, but once you've done it, it's like, okay, that's cool. Now you want to piece together more of the collection room to do a 2.0 video down the line. So
yeah, I'll get to it. I just got a video and all that's a little harder for me, but I'll figure it out.
Fair. We're gonna hold you to it. Next, guys, without further ado, we've got Mr. Eddie Money Mendez here in the chat. Good to see you, buddy. Thanks for joining the show.
What's up? How you guys doing? Happy Sunday.
It's a good Sunday.
Fair warning to the chat. I have food here. I know people like to give me shit for eating. I will not make noises on the mic, I promise, but it's there. So sorry. Fair. I got the gym in late and now I'm getting the protein in late. So
for all those audio listeners, we're gonna have that ASMR segment somewhere in the middle of the show where we just listen to Eddie chew on his soup. So
people pay a lot of money for that, so you guys
you're not wrong. I ran out of chocolate nuts earlier in the weekend, so I've got nothing to bring to the stream, nothing to contribute at all. So you hate to see it. But guys, thanks for joining. Again, Pete will likely be on the way here shortly from OFAC. Maybe he fell asleep. Maybe he was just like, I'm too British to get nuts tonight. We don't know. And Classy Thomas will be here. But let's check in with the chat because we already have 16 people joining us. We've got Mike Latoris in the chat, of course, saying, let's get nutty, baby. That sounds so dirty, but I'll take it. CM Chuck, D's nuts. You love to see it. Maxim M, good to see you, buddy. Evening, everyone. Mugwump, evening all. Good to see you. Absolute Irwin, lots of nutting begin. Let the nutting begin. You love to see it. Action Figure Academy. Let's go, Benjamin. Thank you. End panel. I couldn't do it without these lovely guys. Let's be honest. Eclectic Collector. Hello, everyone. Good to see you. Mr. Bob Dylan in the chat. Heck yeah, buddy. Good to see you here. I was talking a little bit last week about your John Wick collection, so I should share some of those photos with you at
I'm
some
jealous
point.
of his
it's crazy.
Witcher that he just posted pictures of, dude.
Yes. I'll see if I can pull that up later.
Sculpt you got? Sick.
Yeah. For sure. We got 6 Scale Collector here in the chat. What's up, everybody? Good to see you, buddy. Thanks for joining in. AJ Agrusa, greetings, friends. Hope all is well. We have my friend Hannah in the chat. Good to see you here. We had a great weekend this weekend. We did a little scootering last night. Pretty fun. I'm not gonna lie. It was her
scootering.
Yeah. So the electric scooters where you can zip them around all over town. Dude, she was a little nervous to jump on, I will say, but I hope she doesn't mind me sharing this. She's a very tiny person. She's only 4'11", and I was like, your center of gravity is so good. Like, you should be totally golden on the scooter. And she did not crash, not once. Had a good time. She even got it up to full speeds. So I had no skinned elbows to report. But we've got Defet Money in the chat. Love to see it. Dark chocolate almonds are addictive. Dude, just chocolate almonds for me are addictive. Let's be honest. We got Pop Culture Living Room in the chat, and we've got Rachel Miller, my mom, in the chat as well. You'll love to see it. Thanks for joining in, guys. We have a pretty busy show today. Lots of random shit to get through, but I wanted to start with this because I picked this up this past week. This is my new this week, and I'll share it on Collecting Weekly next week as well. But I gotta say, I didn't love the Wonder Woman 84 film. I didn't hate it either. I thought it was, I got like more of a bad rap than it honestly deserved. But I liked the coloration of her outfit. I liked that it had a higher level of color vibrancy in the red and the blue. I thought it looked really good. And I thought the face sculpt was actually pretty on point with regards to Gal Gadot. So I picked this up over the weekend and I love it in hand. What I did not expect with this figure is how heavy she would be. In fact, I compared her actually to my Beskar Mandalorian, just like holding the both in hand. And I think she's actually heavier just based on this seamless body type. So very, very cool.
They have that metal endoskeleton?
The metal endoskeleton. Now, I gotta say, it makes me super nervous to pose it in any way, shape, or form. Like, even like bending the elbows at all. The skin texture, I've never experienced it before. Her little sections just above her kneecaps there, I had like overextended the legs just a little bit to try and get a really firm, like, museum standing pose. And it actually put a crease, like, right in, like an imprintation into the skin itself.
From the boots?
From the boots. That didn't go away for about a half an hour. So I was like, ooh, I'm nervous about that.
I used to have the Princess Diana from the first film. And when I had her shield, like, against her arm, it left a crease, like, on her tricep right there. And it was there for a minute. And I was like, oh, damn. That worried me, too. But, dude, this figure looks really good. The sculpted hair looks amazing. These are good pictures of it. How do you feel about that gold, like, highlights on the corset there?
I don't mind it. Honestly, in person, I think it looks fantastic. And under especially like cabinet lighting, I'm really liking it. But I don't have another Wonder Woman to compare it to either, really. And I think it's obviously like this newest version, this 100th anniversary, or the hair artisan edition. I don't think it's actually artisan, but the rooted hair version that's out right now. I know that's getting all the hype because of the rooting.
Yeah,
it's funny, huh? Because
I like sculpted.
Yeah, a year ago, people wouldn't pay more for rooted. They didn't like rooted or whatever. You know, sculpted was, to me, I always thought sculpted was the way to go. And I think the sculpted looks really good. But now I feel like everybody's all hyped over rooted now, just because of in-art and the artisan stuff. So, but I think this one looks really good. So, yeah,
it's definitely the in-art impact. Now it's changing the game. Even though people say it doesn't, it's definitely impacting.
Yeah. And I think Sculpted's going to make a return again as well, right? Because again, I think they continue to improve paint applications as well. They continue to be able to prove that, like, even with sculpting, you can have certain strands move around a little bit. So, like, it's going to keep improving. It all is going to keep improving. I like the competition there, but yeah, I was impressed with this figure. So if Wonder Woman has been in your repertoire of figures that you want to put in the collection, I don't think you'd be disappointed. I have heard a few people say there is a lot of neck here. So Defet said the same thing. I don't notice it in person. I will say maybe the photos come across as a little bit more necky than the figure.
She has a lot of neck, though. No?
She does,
lengthy,
for sure.
Like a little bit, yeah.
Woman.
She's a tall woman.
Yeah.
And with the sculpted hair, you can't push it down much further. Like, you can't tilt her head really much more further than it is right now. But all good, totally cool, worth the pickup, guys. Now, this also popped up in a feed on my Facebook the other day, and it just made me laugh because I was like, as collectors, we spend so much money on statues, and we spend so much money on busts and 6 scale and figures and 12 scale and all the things, and then you get to see these little bust statues at a random location for only $39, and I gotta say, like, I actually thought it was pretty cool. I could see the ability to, like, want to paint these yourself if you wanted to switch it up for a little, like, showpiece in the collection. But have you guys ever put anything in your collection room, despite it being you guys being surrounded by so many, like, expensive items, anything that's kind of a low cost item but you just feel like complements the rest of it? Because again, $39 for a bust, I would consider this in a collection room.
That's a good question. I mean, I don't collect a lot of Funkos, but I have a few Funkos around as well, and a few bobbleheads. But nothing. Oh, I have my it's a little dusty, but I got my little Batmobile, my '89 Batmobile, like
Nice.
the Hot Wheels. So it's like little things like that to accessorize the area, but
Thank you.
yeah.
That's one of my favorite parts of a collection room is some of the little stuff that kind of hides until you spot it. Like I've got my data USB on the desk here. I've got my little Worf Funko all the time. I've got lots of random collecting weekly stuff, including like a Pog on the microphone. Like if you like really sat in the room and looked around, you'd find some cool shit. So what about you, Eddie? Anything that kind of stands out as something you didn't spend a ton of money on but feels like it complements your collection room?
Yeah, I have a bunch of little knick-knack stuff, stuff that I got on sale that was like little cool stuff, I have it all over the place, just random stuff. Like I have let me see, I bought this on sale at GameStop. This is from Dark Crystal. This is where they hold the essence in this little
Cool
jar, and it the light I think is dead, but it's supposed to light up.
Nice.
So I have stuff like that. I just got this Cos Baby from Batman Forever.
Batman Forever, nice.
Yeah, and it's like it moves.
That's the Hot Toys one.
Yeah.
Cos Baby, yeah, cool.
Yeah, so I got that. I got a bunch of random little stuff, but yeah, I like having little random stuff to just put on display next to like the nicer stuff. I think it's cool. I think it like gives you a little bit of a unique part of your collecting and like a story. A lot of the smaller stuff has stories. Like I'll get stuff from Galaxy's Edge to remind me of my trip out there. So I have a bunch of like those little what are the little gems that go inside the lightsabers? I have a bunch of these that I want to display.
Kyber crystals?
Point. Yeah, the Kyber crystals.
Nice.
I have that kind of stuff. I got these from Galaxy's Edge. I thought they were really cool from Phantom Menace, those dice that he uses to bet on Anakin.
Oh, rando.
Yeah, I got those. Those are cool. But yeah, I like to get little knick-knack stuff. And a lot of people, like people that know you collect, like family members and stuff, they'll buy you little gifts and stuff, random stuff if they
That's
see
also
it,
where
so.
I get a lot of mine from, like in stocking
Yeah.
stuffers at Christmas and everything. I've got some cool Lego figures for my mom over different Christmases.
Oh, yeah.
In fact, that's actually one that I want to start considering putting with my 6 scale. Oh, is it the frog? The Thor frog?
Yeah, the little frog.
Yeah.
Cuervo sent me this
That's
because he had an extra one, so I have that.
I've got that one too.
Yeah.
Well, and like I've thought about putting the matching Lego figure with every 6 scale, so I had started to put them up in my cabinets. But I'm not totally convinced I want to leave it like that yet. So I might do a collection tour and see what you guys think of it. But like it's cool. But then there's of course more Lego figures that I need to buy then. So then I'm like, I need to
Sometimes
stop. I need to
they'll get
stop.
pricey. Those
They-
minifigs. Yeah.
Well, and I've got over 300 because before I started collecting 6 scale, it was Lego minifigures for me. So it's changed for sure. We've got Pete in the background with us though. Mr. Pete from Only Fools and Collecting, a division of Collecting Weekly. Good to see you back, buddy. How are you doing?
Evening, guys. Can I just ask, what is that crap you've got on the screen?
It's literal crap. I put a $39, I don't know, Target or Walgreens, Walmart
You didn't buy one, did you?
I did not buy one. No. But I thought it might be fun to buy and repaint, do my painting skills in front of the TV on one night or something. But for a $40 treat, I don't know. My question for the guys was, what have you put in your collection that's small or not very expensive, but you feel like complements your collection? So we were talking a little bit about Lego and Funko and some of those.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've got a couple of NECA figures in with my 80s stuff. So I've got E.T. and I've got Stripe and Gizmo just out the front. So they look really cool.
Some of those NECA ones are great, honestly.
Yeah. ET's too small. He's undersized, but it doesn't matter. And to be honest, the Gremlins are probably a little bit oversized, but it's not a diorama as such. It's just a collection of 80s iconic characters I love. So I'm quite happy having them up the front there in front of RoboCop and Dutch and everything. So yeah, they look cool.
Thank you. That's awesome.
I always thought it'd be cool to have a bunch of the Gremlins scattered around your cabinets.
Right?
In
Yeah,
different
that's so
areas. I
good.
always
They're
thought if
so
you have
good,
one
those
here and there,
Gremlins.
it'd be cool.
Did you see? Oh yeah, have one where they've knocked over a figure in one of the cabinets. You know, a stormtrooper.
have them themed, for the
That's
different
right, yeah.
shells. Yeah, that's a good idea. I've got quite a few actually. I could do that, Eddie.
That's awesome.
fun.
Defet says any Ben Cisco stuff. I don't have any Ben Cisco stuff in my collection, unfortunately, not yet. Anyways, Bob Dylan says those Cause Riders are pretty neat. I'll admit, especially the Penguin and the Batmobile. 100%. We've got Classy Thomas with us here as well. Classy Thomas, different glasses on you this week, buddy. How you doing?
Yeah. I'm Glassy Thomas. You know, I guess I might have to change my name to Glassy Thomas because I like wearing my glasses. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, buddy.
Those
see it.
kind of look like
Looking cool, man.
those look like SpongeBob's jellyfish.
Oh. Oh boy, yeah. I like to keep my specs kind of, you know, running wild. So yeah. How you guys doing today?
We're good. Now that you're here,
Brilliant.
buddy,
Look at
I
this-
feel
look at
like
this beautiful
good.
panel.
it's a beautiful panel today. You guys are awesome.
Yeah.
Guys, I've got a warm-up topic for you. And since Thomas, you just joined us, I'm going to start with you, buddy, okay?
Okay.
So this slide here says the KFC founder said, just because you took longer than others doesn't mean you failed. I started KFC at 65 years of age. So my question for you, Thomas, is what do you, or did you want to be when you grew up? Did you end up doing that as your career, or have you done something vastly different? What would you want to be when you grow up, Thomas?
You know, to be honest with you, I don't know that I ever really had specific aspirations to do anything in particular. I was just happy to be here, and so I don't know. I had hobbies and things like that, but I never really thought of a career. I just kind of drifted and wound up in a career, which I just happened to be good at. Doing things, working with math and everything I did. Like I worked with 401ks. I worked with everything had to do with numbers, and I was a econ and a statistics major. But when I originally started college, I started as mass communications. You know, I thought I wanted to go into radio and television. So I guess I'm doing that now since I'm on your show.
Well, I appreciate that. That's high
Finally done
praise.
it, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, for most of my career, I did everything from I worked at the United Way for a while. I worked at a bank with their student loan division. I worked in an actuarial company. I worked 12 and a half years for a drug treatment facility running an HIV case management program. And then I ended up in education working with the registrar. So I kind of never really did anything that I was particularly trained to do. They were just skills that I had acquired over the years that, I just needed to get paid. So I was like, well, if I find a job, they like my skills and I'm getting paid, that's all that really matters. So it's kind of funny that now that I've retired, I'm actually doing things that are more akin to things that I enjoy, my hobbies, working with, figures and artistic pursuits. So, I guess in going back, I always did, when I was a kid, I always liked to draw and always liked doing creative things. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if I necessarily wanted to go into art, but I that was always a hobby, things that I enjoyed doing. I don't know if I ever saw that as a career, but now I'm kind of doing things more artistically related now that I'm no longer working. So I kind of feel like I'm kind of living that part of my life now.
Well, as the Colonel would state here, Thomas, you're never too young to start.
That's
you
right.
could even have your own chicken chain at this point if you wanted, or
I could, because I tell you what,
cartoon skit. You could do so many things that you want to do.
SpongeBob chicken, brother, I can cook. I get in that kitchen, stir some stuff up,
love it,
shove it in my mouth. I'm all good.
Jose, what did you want to be when you grew up, or are you doing it already? Good sir, what do you think?
Well, when I was little, I was really into art and storytelling. I grew up always wanting to tell stories, fictional stories, obviously. But, so I actually I studied for many years to be a screenwriter. I just graduated, and I got my master's degree in screenwriting. But there's a strike, so good luck. So
Yeah.
I'm having trouble, but I'm here, and I still want to write, but work in progress right now.
Cool. So you're somewhat in that path, the thing that you actually wanted to do.
Yeah. I mean, I studied for many years. I have the skill set, but I just, it's not. I can't just go to Warner Brothers and be like, "Hey, hire me." It's like the whole process. And then right now, especially with the strikes, there's absolutely no one writing or listening to what any pitches or anything. So
Yeah, 100%. Totally makes sense. Pete, you're a bit of an enigma to me. Considering I stream with you every single week, I feel like we've developed this great friendship now. I don't actually even really know what you do in life other than when I see you on Sundays and we chat throughout the week occasionally. What did you want to do when you grew up, or have you achieved it already?
No, a bit like Thomas, really. I was very much into art and creative stuff at work, and at school, and I would have loved to have been I don't know, an artist, a comic book artist, or something to do with like special effects making, all that. But I think but then I ended up going to university and doing like a degree in biological science and stuff, and I thought I'd be a scientist, and that kind of didn't work out. And I just, a bit like Thomas, I kind of fell into numbers and statistics and things like that because I was pretty good at that. So that's kind of what I've done. I've mostly been sort of data analysis kind of thing throughout my career. So I've kind of learned to embrace it and enjoy it, but it's not really a passion of mine. And I kind of, I scratch that itch by, the things I make for like 1/6, like chainmail things and the CCFL lightsabers and, some like leather belts and holsters and indie stuff. So that's where I kind of scratch that itch. Weirdly now, obviously I find myself unemployed for the first time in a very, very long time. And it kind of makes you sort of reconsider whether or not you just want to jump straight back into what you were doing because that's where your skills and experience are, and that you should be an easier task to get into that, or you kind of just think, like, what do I actually want to do? And then it's like, well, there's loads of things I'd like to do, but is that really a job? Does that exist? How do I find out about that? So it's difficult, and I may well find myself kind of just getting into something soon just to bring the money in and stuff like that. But obviously,
Sure.
It would be great to kind of have a career change. But not really sure. There's loads of things I'd like to do, but I don't know how like anything to do with creature effects or costuming or stuff for movies, and that would be amazing. But I wouldn't know where to start really, and I kind of live in the wrong country. Although they do film quite a lot of stuff over here, to be honest. But
Well, and it's weird now. Like I've noticed, Steve, because I keep an eye on job postings as well, right? I think most of us do, and even for some really low level positions now, if you want to be like a an ice cream pourer at Dairy Queen, you need to have now 6 years of experience working, an ice cream machine for another company, and it's like how do you even get into base level jobs, let alone you want to be
nobody wants to train anyone anymore.
No, you want to be a financial advisor, you need to have had 15 years of a financial advice experience first, and all the it's crazy.
That's why you kind of get stuck in a rut, don't you? Because it's difficult to branch out.
And sometimes what you wanted to be versus what you end up being are so vastly different. Eddie, same question for you, buddy. What about you? Are you on the path to doing what you thought you would do when you grew up, or are you doing something different with your life?
Well, as a pre-teenager, I always wanted to be an athlete. So cool. I wanted to be Michael Jordan, but I didn't realize that I was a 5'9" Mexican that was never gonna end up making it to basketball. But pre-teens, I was like, I love playing soccer, baseball, basketball. I was always pushed into football, but I never really liked football. And then once I got to high school, I realized that I don't have the commitment for it. Like, I have fun playing sports, but then when you get to high school, you realize like they like work the shit out of you, and they want you to do more, and that's like when I would fall out of it. But so that was always when I was really young. And then in school, I guess I'm like everybody. I drew a lot. I was super artistic. That was like, I was always drawing in class. I wasn't paying attention. The only classes that I did really well in was like math. I was really good in math and science. So I think there's something about that. Like when you're artistic, you tend to lean more towards those subjects. But never really liked English or anything else. But so that was in school. But I had to get a job really young to start paying bills. So like I've been working since I was like 15, 16, and so out of that I kind of just started working immediately after high school and didn't go to college because of that. I had to start paying rent and stuff, so I jumped into the first job I could get. Yeah, and that was in a grocery store, and it kind of like my career took off from there. I worked in liquor at grocery stores, and then I started working for a sales company for liquor, and then moved into wine, and now I've moved up in that company. So it kind of just, I got caught in the grind, and now like I'm in a good position in my company, but now I'm realizing like I don't know if like I'm good at this, but I don't know if I like doing this. So that's kind of where I'm at now. So now I'm thinking like maybe I should go back to school and figure out what I want to do, what I want like for the rest of my life. And after finding like YouTube and stuff, I do really like making videos, or maybe like graphic design has been a thought too for like different YouTubers. Like I could always do something like that because people always need editors and designers and stuff. So I thought maybe I could go into something like that. But yeah, now I'm trying to like go back and figure it out, kind of.
Cool, man. The world is our oyster. I think the weird part about having conversations like this on the internet is these conversations will now exist on the internet forever, right? It will be cool to look back at these videos maybe in 30 years from now and see what's happened with life with all of us, right? I think that could be pretty cool. We have a little reunion video in 10 years and see how that goes.
Story, Ben? How about you, mate?
Yeah, so
we can talk about before you say it, I was gonna say, and then we could talk about the latest Iron Man that Hot Toys announced.
That's right. Exactly. Yes, the 5th version of the Mark 7. Guys, for me, it was a lot of things. When I was I loved movies as a kid. I absolutely loved film. I think it's where I get a lot of my collecting nostalgia from.
Yeah, me too.
I lived out in the middle of the woods, basically. Like we lived 30 minutes into the middle of nowhere. I had to take a school bus to school every day. Once you're home for the day, like the next friend that I had was concessions and concessions away. So you spent a lot of nights in front of the game system, or in front of a TV show, or in front of a movie. So it's where I developed my love for Star Trek and all of the films that I have in my kind of repertoire, and all the things that surround me in my collection. I always thought it would be cool to be an actor. I never understood what it would take to be an actor, what path I would need to go down. I always thought that would be cool, though. Being able to be somebody different in a job every day or every couple of years, depending on your career, I think was really cool and appealing. I was always told as a younger person that I was a bit of a chameleon, like that depending on who I was interacting with, I could always interact with them because I could always mirror them really easily. And so I always thought that would have been a translatable skill for acting. And I liked drama classes in high school and stuff like that. But then you realize, kind of like Eddie was saying, that you have to make money in life. And I honestly didn't think that I had to look for acting or the talent by any stretch. So I went to university for psychology. And what psychology did for me was really teach me how to read body language and become the salesperson that I now am. For my company, I'm the director of sales, so I run a sales team as well as I handle my own sales and commercial operation. But like Eddie said, you get to that point where you go, even though I'm good at this, is this actually something that I want to do? While YouTube is a grind. It takes time to develop anybody to even watch your stuff. I always thought it would be cool now that I'm in the YouTube community to be able to talk about toys professionally all the time. Just like, that just have a weekly show where you get to just do what we're doing today, but more as a job. I think that would be fun. But who knows? Maybe that would diminish my appeal for collecting as well. So hard to say. I like just doing it with you guys on Sundays for shits and giggles and not too seriously. I can take a day off if we need to. So, but guys, good conversation.
That's really interesting.
Thanks for getting that warmed up.
Very, very much come from a very creative childhood, and that we've kind of, as Thomas has said, we've kind of, that's what's attracted us to this forum, that we can create content and. And express ourselves in perhaps in the ways that we haven't managed to do in our careers. So
for sure.
It's a good platform.
For sure. Absolutely. Equan says, so deep for an action figure or Mandel show. I like it. Hey, you never know what you're going to get over here on Let's Get Nuts Sunday. Let's be honest. When I pose these questions to myself in the week before I ask them to you guys, I always wonder if it's going to be like, nothing. And then just move on to the next topic, or if it'll get into a 30-minute conversation. I like the 30-minute chat. But guys, thanks for sticking around watching. We got lots more entertainment news and figure news to discuss, of course, here on Let's Get Nuts. But I feel warmed up now. I don't know about you guys. Let's take a look at this slide first. So Wonder Woman 3 reportedly won't be in the new DCU after all. And of course, this is coming after about a week ago there were reports from Variety and Entertainment News that she was going to be part of James Gunn's universe, and people lost their shit because they were like, well, if she gets to be in it, why did Henry Cavill get terminated? What's going on with that? And it created a very divisive conversation. Eddie, are you happy that they've updated us with the fact that she's not in this new DCU, or are you disappointed? Would you have liked to see her make her return in James Gunn's universe? What are your thoughts?
I don't know what I am with DC. Honestly, I have no idea what to feel anymore about it. I was one of those
so
people
numb.
that I was kind of like, what the heck? If she gets to be in it, why the hell is he starting over with everybody else? That doesn't make any sense. So, but I have no emotions tied to this anymore. So whatever he wants to do, I think he doesn't know what he wants to do. I think the whole thing is still all over the place. They don't have at first it seemed like he had a clear plan. Now he's kind of backtracking on it. So I'm not gonna lie, I'd love to see a Wonder Woman 3 because the first one was so good, and then 84 was a dud, and I'd like to see her end on a high note as Wonder Woman. I'd like to see all of them end on a high note and get that vision that Snyder had. I would love to see that played out, but at this point I'm whatever happens. So yeah,
Interesting
it is what it is.
Interesting you say about her on a high note. So this is a spoiler for Shazam 2. If you guys have not seen Shazam 2, mute yourselves for 30 seconds, starting in 2 seconds. 1, 2, Shazam spoiler 2. Gal Gadot shows up at the end of that film, and she basically brings Shazam back to life. And as soon as that happened in that movie, I was like, I want this figure in my collection. She was awesome. To me, that was just it made her godlike, and it gave her that oomph and that final yay Wonder Woman feel for me. I could never see her again, and I'd be okay with that. That was a good final moment for me. But to me, I don't necessarily need the Wonder Woman 3 film myself. Pete, what about you? Were you confused when it was supposed to be that she was coming back and now she's not? What are your thoughts or feelings on that announcement?
I kind of I think, as I said before, I've kind of switched off from the whole DC thing now. It all just seems like a saga, and they've kind of ditched everyone, or people have left. I wasn't particularly a fan of some of the incarnations of the characters, so a bit jaded with it. All I will say, and I'll try and say it as respectfully as possible. I could watch Gal Gadot all day long, for many reasons. She's a very good actress, very beautiful woman, and I think I'd like to portray a Wonder Woman, possibly more than I enjoyed Cavill's Superman or Affleck's Batman. So it doesn't really bother me if it's you might as well get rid of them all and start everything afresh. But I see she's got a new movie on Netflix, so I'm going to be checking that out soon.
For sure. I challenge your thoughts there a little, Pete, though, because while I liked her in Wonder Woman 1, I don't think she's that great of an actress. To me, she hasn't had a role for me yet that's like, wow, amazing. Other than Wonder Woman 1, I did feel that way about her, but I haven't, like, even in the Fast franchise, I liked her involvement with it, but I didn't think she was, like, necessarily a standout performance. She's just, to me, kind of floated along. I feel, and maybe I'll get hate for this, I feel similarly about Emilia Clarke. While she was great as the Mother of Dragons, and very likable as an actress. I like watching her in shows. I don't think she's necessarily the greatest actress either. Jose, what do you think about Wonder Woman here? Wonder Woman 3? People are saying it might be debunked now and that we're not going to get it at all. What are your thoughts? And what do you think of her quality of acting chops? Feel free to discuss.
Well, first I'll have to challenge you on the Emilia Clarke thing because
like,
I actually
went.
I went to London and I saw her act in person in her play.
Oh, okay, cool.
The Seagull. She was in a play, and I saw her. I was like row 3. Like I saw her act in person, and she can act. Now I don't know about Secret Invasion. That's a whole other story.
It's hard to act around tough writing.
Yeah. But she definitely has the skill set. I mean, is she getting the quality of films that she should? That's another story.
Fair.
In regards to Wonder Woman, this is all convoluted and confusing. I don't know. It's so confusing because it's like it seems like it's going to be a soft reboot. So some people are coming back, some people aren't coming back. So it's confusing because she's saying, well, they promised me that we were going to work on it together. Then there's reports like, well, they never had conversations about Wonder Woman 3, but they're like, but they told her that. So it's like, it seems like, like when you're getting fired and they're telling you, oh, but maybe you're still rehireable, you're still, we'll think of you if it's like a multiverse movie or something.
For sure.
So maybe she misunderstood. And
we'll hire you at some point. We'll totally work together at some point. Close the door. Yeah, definitely not working with her.
Oh.
Maybe. Hard to say. Good take though. No, for sure, buddy. And you know what? I am always willing to be wrong, just like Thomas Wayne being in the Flash film. Unfortunately, he was not in that movie. If I saw Emilia Clarke in person, I would probably be pretty excited about it too. For sure. She does so feel very lovely.
She's so tiny.
She has an infectious smile, though. In my opinion, like if she's the type of person that if she smiles at you, there's no way you're not smiling back. Thomas, what's your quick take, buddy, on Wonder Woman? Are you hoping that we see Gal Gadot return in her role, or are you hoping that they're just getting a new rebooted season, or like not season but universe at this point?
Well, I mean, I think it's possible she could still be. I mean, the Matt Reeves, the Batman, is going to stay in, but he's not going to be part of their combined universe.
Like an Elseworlds.
Exactly,
version.
An Elseworlds. It's possible that they may be planning an Elseworlds version for Gal Gadot. I mean, we never know what they're going to say because you hear one thing and then you hear another. But I think she's a very good actress. I've enjoyed her performances. I think what it is I really like her accent. Mm-hmm. She just has there's something about someone with an accent that I don't know, something that's very mysterious and like, oh, what is she saying? Or I mean, like even you. I mean, I like when you say oot.
I do not say oot.
We're talking about let me get something oat or something like that. That just kind of I find that kind of
sometimes. You hear it sometimes when you're like, oh, about.
So I wouldn't be mad if they brought her into an Elseworlds thing. I don't know that she would necessarily fit in with what they have discussed as part of their new universe. Mm. So it would make sense that they didn't have it a part of that. Plus, I think people are always going to see, if she is interacting with them, they're always going to see Snyderverse.
For sure.
And so I think there does need to be a separation. But I'd love to see her back as Wonder Woman. I've really enjoyed her portrayal of Wonder Woman.
Definitely, dude. Definitely. Well said, Classy Thomas, of course. For my opinion, it's a hard reboot. Do it or don't. Like, let's not drag the past in. Let's keep it separate. I got this figure recently. I think she's a great 6-scale figure. I really like the actress. I like the portrayal of Wonder Woman. I like the costume. I like everything about her. She's now part of my Snyderverse team up. I want to see what happens with DCU going forward, for sure. Guys, let us know in the chat if you're listening live or in the replay, of course. What do you think? Hard restart for DCEU, DCEU? Or are we needing to see Wonder Woman make a return before she's gone forever? Let us know what you guys think in the chat below. Now, I have to ask any of you guys on the panel, have you seen this show yet on Netflix? Harley Quinn, the animated series. Have any of you guys seen it yet?
No.
No, didn't even know it existed.
Amazing. So neither did I, passed about a week ago. And I actually heard this being discussed on the John Campea show, so shout out to him. And he was saying he didn't get excited about hearing about this show until he watched some of the episodes, and that it was absolutely filthy and awesome. So I was like, okay. Batman the Animated Series television show for me is actually one of my favorite television shows of all time. And I was like, I don't know if I care about a Harley Quinn animated show, to be honest. And I didn't think we'd see characters like Batman in a Harley Quinn show. Boy, was I wrong. This show is absolutely filthy, violent, amazing, hilarious, and like subtly hilarious. There are so many nods to like a Batman, like a fan, like if you're a fandom, if you have part of the Batman fandom and you just love little Easter eggs of Batman spread throughout and all of the different characters, I honestly think you guys will love the show. So I don't like overhyping things too much because everybody's opinion of entertainment is of course subjective, but if you have not given the show a chance, watch the first couple of episodes on Netflix. That's where
And
I can
that's
find it here in
Kaylee
Canada
Cuoco,
anyways.
right?
Yeah, the actress who is in
Harley
Big
Quinn.
Bang, Big Bang Theory, right?
She's
She's Harley Quinn herself. Batman himself is hilarious. Like honestly, all the characters are great. Especially like there's a portrayal that they do in this show with Clayface, and he's like a thespian actor, and so he really like wants to play the role of every person he like essentially morphs into, and it's great. So anyways, if you guys haven't watched it, we won't discuss
Yeah,
it
we
any further than that,
haven't got it on the UK. Just have a look.
but you gotta see. You haven't got it. Gonna have to
Got
pirate
it. Not on
You
the
hate to
UK
see it.
Netflix. Yeah.
You hate to see it.
Damn.
I thought
Yeah.
this was an
It's
HBO
fun.
show.
It might be indifferent in the States. As I said, for me, I've got it on Netflix. But
Hey Pete, can
think
you
it's on
switch your
HBO.
VPN to? Can you switch your VPN over to us to access it?
I believe it's on
Probably.
Mac.
I've never tried it.
Yeah, that's what I meant, Max.
Let me
Yeah.
have a look. Yeah, I'll be
Yeah,
on
they
that'll be
done
on Sky
changed.
over here then.
Maximum, I
I'll have
would
a
have
look
said
on
almost
there.
the same thing not too long ago myself. But this was a good one. This was one I appreciated. I would not have watched this show otherwise, and I thought it was pretty fun. AJ Grusa says, yep, it's on Max here. So check it out, guys. Let me know what you guys think. You can always message me in the chat below. I'd love to hear from you, especially since the panel has not had a chance to, unfortunately, see it. So let's move on. Secret Invasion's total runtime of 3 hours and 43 minutes without credits or recaps is now the shortest for an MCU series. This record makes it clear that the show should have been a different format with a movie likely serving its story better. This is interesting to me because I didn't hate this show by any stretch. In fact, I'd actually put it in my Instagram that I really enjoyed the show up until about the final episode. I felt like the final episode was really rushed. They didn't think about a lot of details that have now got Marvel fans upset, including what's gone on with Rhodey and Emilia Clarke's character being now like a super being. Like she's absolutely stacked with powers now. Like nothing should be able to take her out going forward. There was just a lot that I didn't love about the last episode, and I do really feel like, knowing that it was only technically 3 hours and 43 minutes of actual footage, they could have certainly condensed this down into a movie format, similar to what the YouTube cut of the Boba Fett series recently was. That was cut down into a movie-length featurette on YouTube, and that was amazing. They totally cut out all the fat. So Pete, what do you think about Marvel shows going forward? If we keep seeing runtimes this short, do you think that they should just go back to a movie format at this point, especially with the CEO saying that stuff like Marvel content is starting to dilute the water when it comes to Marvel?
Yeah, I agree. I think the when they did it with the the Black Widow movie that did really well. Not necessarily the greatest movie in the world, but it was. I think we were all in lockdown, and it was a 2-hour movie, and it was good fun. I didn't mind Secret Invasion, but as people in the chat have said, the last episode just rubbish. I think you're right. I think there's a lot of padding and filler in these shows. Like there's I downloaded a really good 2-hour cut of the Kenobi. It works so much better as a 2-hour movie than what it was. And then imagine Book of Boba Fett, you could probably cut out most. I mean, there was some really dire stuff in there. So I think there's good content in them, but yeah, there's a lot of crap in between that would be better served as a 2-hour movie, I think. Definitely.
Yeah, totally. Absolutely. Maximum says here, do we know the cost of this series? So yeah, I looked it up. It had a $212 million budget, I should say. So 200 plus million, which is more than some feature films, for sure. I honestly think that seems like an insane number for a show, despite the fact that these shows still cost a lot to produce. Obviously, everything that goes into it, that's a massive budget. What about you, Eddie? Do you think that if Marvel shows are going to be this short, they should just be converted to movies and called a day, or do you like the episodic format that we're getting from the shows?
When I originally saw this trailer, I thought it was a movie, and then someone had said it was a show, and I was like, oh, I thought it was a movie coming out. I think since all of these shows have started for Star Wars and Marvel, I've thought that they don't know how to make good show series. I thought they do much better in the movies, and I feel like they've never really succeeded other than Mando. And even Mando with season 2, and it started to get a little fillery towards the end there, and I've never thought that they've done super well with the shows. I've always thought the movies are always much better, so I definitely think this would have done better as a movie, because I think it had potential. Like, I really liked the villain. Obviously, I love Samuel L. Jackson, and I think I've always loved Talos too as a character. I think that actor is really good, and I thought his character was good, but it kind of got all over the place as a series, and I kind of felt like it lost its story. I don't know, it kind of started getting sporadic for me, and I feel like all the shows have done that. So yeah, I prefer the movies, unless they can do a better job of kind of like tightening up those shows and having a more clear storyline. Yeah,
absolutely. Tremble Dust has some great comments here as well. Says Disney is not making money on streaming like many other companies. Netflix just started profiting, which is of course a shame. And then, to be honest, Secret Invasion should have been a phase. I could see that if it was done well enough, for sure. There's enough meat on the bone there that there could have been some pretty epic stuff. It would be hard, in my opinion, though, with Secret Invasion's storyline, at least from the comics, seeing some of these characters that we love and these actors that we love, finding out that who we thought they were are not who they actually are. That would be a tough nut to swallow, especially considering the reaction we've already seen with Rhodey anyways, right? I mean, people are pissed about Rhodey. Can you imagine finding out one of the big names, Captain America, for example, is a Skrull? Or like, I don't know, like there could be some divisive nature to that conversation. I don't know if people would love it, but if it was done well, I mean, I bet people would, right? It's just about the writing. Thomas, do you think these should be films going forward, or do you think we should continue to see episodic releases as long as the writing is there?
I like having series, and I'll tell you the reason why. I mean, that was the reason why I pay for Disney Plus, is so when there's not a movie out, I can still get content. However, what has happened with most of the series, and I've enjoyed a lot of the series, but they never seem to stick to landing. There's always that last issue that always falls short. Like either they have kind of stretched things out so far that then they realize, oh, it's last episode, so now I got to cram everything in to wrap it up. So that's the reason why I was very happy that they decide to do Born Again, Daredevil's Born Again, as 18 episodes. See, to me, that's a series.
Yeah.
A series is not
Just
6
sink your
episodes.
teeth into it a little bit.
That's right. I don't. A series is not even 9 episodes.
Hmm.
Give me a good. If you're going to do something, do a really good, comprehensive storyline, and make it a nice long series. And if they did something like that, I would be more on board with it. But I did also enjoy those special presentations, like the Werewolf by Night.
Yeah.
That was
fun.
phenomenal. And if they can, like, maybe they need to consider saying, well, if I'm just trying to, for example, maybe give a little backstory to a character that we're about to introduce, maybe let's do instead of doing a long series, why don't we just do a nice special presentation and let that be their meat and gravy? But yeah, I've been kind of like everybody else. I've been disappointed with the endings of most of these shows, and some of it could be the whole thing with this. I mean, maybe some of this can be resolved through this writer's strike. Maybe they can come up with some negotiations where they actually get some people who are actually going to write some good stories. And I mean, and also the fact that, like some of these figure companies, I don't know that I would hope that Marvel is listening to podcasts and shows like this where they're hearing their group complaining, saying you're not ending your stories well. You would think that after 3 years of content, or I don't know if it's more, but after that period of time of them producing content and people are still complaining about the endings, that should tell you something. It tells me that maybe they're not really listening. So I don't know. I think that just like with Feige with the first 4 phases, how he was kind of like the glue that kind of tied everything together. If they're going to do something like this, maybe they need to do a similar thing and have somebody who is the guru of the TV spots. That if you're going to say, all right, we're going to make sure that when we produce a show, that we give it enough episodes where it's going to tell the story the way it needs to be told. And then if there are things that we're going to tie into the movie, we need to make sure that I'm also communicating with Kevin so I can say, all right, let me make sure that we tie in these Easter eggs in this series because this is going to tie into this. There needs to be some sort of coordination because right now it just seems like it's all over the place.
And I agree with some of the things that you've said there, Thomas. I also push back on some of it too. I think for the writers, I don't think it's all about the writers necessarily. I do think it's how they are directed. I think it's how these shows are produced. There are decisions that go above what the words are on the paper to kind of what actually we get a chance to see. And if these people have been being underpaid and not appreciated and all of the things, like I can't imagine anybody wanting to work in that condition necessarily and still pump out amazing content and hope still that the director actually takes your vision on paper into something that's fulfilling. I do feel like the effort is there though too. I do feel sometimes like they're not listening to podcasts or like their community all that well, but then I feel like they put so much time and money and great people into these roles that they obviously care to a certain extent. It's just that, like, why is it not landing? That's the real question. Who had a good comment here? Maximum says, getting the feeling that Ahsoka and Loki at season 2 are going to make or break Disney shows moving forward. I feel like a lot of people are already expecting these shows to suck. So we've already made up our mind before we've even watched it, which has got to be a really tough obstacle to get past for these companies as well at this point. Getting people to even watch them, and then if they have a tough land like this show did, people are like, yeah, you see, I was right. But we may end up missing some diamonds in the rough in there as well, because we're already expecting it to be shitty. What about you, Jose? What do you think on this? Should this have been a movie? Should it have been a show? Or what are your thoughts generally on this type of entertainment?
So I love the special presentation idea from Classy Thomas. I give props to you, sir, because that would have been amazing. I think that if they would have used the 1 hour mark special presentation for this show, just setting things up for the movie. So, you get Nick Fury back from space, you kind of set up the whole conflict with the scrolls, and then you kind of end it on a note where you're like, oh, I really need to tune in to the Marvels because it's going to continue there, and this will continue through the next phase. I think that would have been perfect. I will say, from a screenwriter's perspective, writing endings are the most difficult just as difficult as the beginning. To get started, it's a hard. But once you get started, you can kind of roll with it. But then once you get to the end, that's where you have trouble. So I understand why they have trouble, but it's from a one single writer's perspective, it's difficult to do it on your own. But if you got a writer's room, you have a team, you have Kevin Feige, I feel like it should be better than this. And lately it just falls flat every single time. And it's not just Marvel, but it's with Mandalorian and all these other shows. So it's like it's difficult writing and ending.
Totally do.
How do you go from doing 10 years of like a cohesive storyline throughout movies? Like the movies, that whole 10 years is like a show. If you watch it in order, they kept that story going through each movie and it's all tied in together. How do you go from that to going all over the place with shows that are one after another? How do you lose all of that cohesive writing? How do you lose that vision? It's all the same people, right? Like it's still Kevin Feige's in charge of it. Like what happened? How do you mess this up? I don't get it. It shouldn't have been like that easy to mess up, but
possibly had too many cooks in the kitchen.
Feige is the one who admitted that he wanted the Super Skrull fight at the end of this season. So that was his idea. So I mean, he's not all brilliant. I mean, he has. I mean, I know how it is to write things, and I've presented things, and they're like, dude, like this needs work. So I get it, and no offense to him, but it's just like that didn't work,
For sure. Well, and even like, forgive me if I'm wrong, but from the comics, wasn't the Super Skrull, weren't they only able to use one power at a time? Even like they even kind of changed that for the show, that she was using kind of multiple powers all in one go, and it's kind of like, again, she would be absolutely invincible at this point, like unstoppable, if she's got all of those characters' secret abilities. I don't know.
And I feel like you need to address that now. Like you can't just leave it.
You have to address it now. Yeah, for sure. And if there's ever another lineup of Avengers like we saw at the end of Endgame, she should be leading that pack at this point because she's invincible. But guys, we have about 30 people watching live right now. Thanks for sticking with us. We're going to get into some figure news now. Let us know what your thoughts are of Secret Invasion. Should it have been a shorter or like a shorter series turned into a movie, or did you like the episodic feel to it? Also, I meant to ask you guys earlier, if you're still watching, what did you want to be when you grew up, and what do you do now versus what you wanted to be? I'd love to hear from you all in the community, because figure collecting and 6-scale collecting is of course not a very cheap hobby either. Most of us have had some level of profession or job at some point that's allowed us to have that as a hobby in our lives for the most part. So I think it'd be cool to find out what everybody does in life, if you feel like sharing. But guys, let's take a look at this little update from Present Toys this recent week. Of course, we're looking at a screen teaser of the film Interstellar, Christopher Nolan film. One of my favorite Christopher Nolan films for sure. This made me ugly cry at times throughout this film, like for reals. But as much as I love the film, I don't honestly feel like I necessarily would want to collect from it. Pete, what do you think of a collectible series of figures coming from Present Toys or another company we're going to mention here in a couple minutes?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big fan of the film. I think I said before, and the certainly the space suits are a very interesting design. Would look quite cool on the shelf. Not something necessarily that I would be looking to collect, but it's interesting because all of a sudden these films from so many years ago, all of a sudden you get you might get two third-party companies making them. There's also a custom run, a very expensive custom run going on at the moment for the Matthew McConaughey in the spacesuit. It's just funny how these things all come together, and a lot of the present toys. Oh, let's have that. Yeah.
Yeah, this is the one for
This is
600. Yeah. It was like 600 on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. So, yeah, I mean, it looks fantastic. But it's funny because a lot of the present toy stuff has actually kind of reproduced a lot of very expensive custom figures from a long time ago. So it's interesting that it's kind of whether it's just purely coincidence or whether they've seen this and gone, actually, we can do this, and they turn it around. But yeah, the custom one looks amazing, and I'll be interested to see how this one goes. But yeah, I like the design, and that head sculpt looks really good. Who knows what the present toys will look like? The stuff's been pretty good, but yeah, I wouldn't be collecting it myself. But
because Present Toys did the Blade, right, and then they updated that head sculpt when people like fan community had some come back, and then the Indiana Jones I think was Present Toys as well. And I know that people really liked that figure in hand.
Yeah, it was decent. Yeah.
I could see them making a pretty solid Matthew McConaughey, especially since his hair is not too crazy flowy in that film. It is a little shorter of a cut. I think that they could style it well and sculpt it pretty well. Jose, what do you think about a Present Toys Interstellar figure, or from this third party? You said third party company on this one, right, Pete? For this one,
it's a custom.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a custom. Yeah,
Custom.
and then
it's the words I was looking for.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I thought. When you said that, I thought, oh, is there another third-party company? But yeah, it's a custom one.
Yeah, yes. Thank you. Yeah, thanks for the custom version.
No worries.
So, what do you think of these, Jose? Either Present or this one?
Like you, I really like the movie. I still remember I saw it in IMAX 70mm. I still remember the music. When you mentioned it, I thought about that cornfield scene with the music with Hans Zimmer, and got me, man. I got a little bit of chill just thinking about it. It's a great score. I think Hans Zimmer has admitted that's his favorite score, and he wrote that blindly. He didn't even know what the movie was about. Nolan just told him it was about a father and his daughter, or son, I believe. His father but then it ended up being the opposite because it was a father and daughter, right? So, anyways, about the figure, this custom looks pretty good. Too much for me. I don't know. I love the movie, but I don't know if I love it enough for $630 or whatever. Bob Dylan says it's $515 if you order direct. But still, it's a lot of money. I'd be interested to see how the Present Toys does. If the sculpt's pretty good and the spacesuit is well tailored, maybe it's something I consider. Present Toys is kind of hit and miss. I got that Terminator that the head sculpt was kind of iffy, but it's decent enough. You put the glasses on it, and it does the job for now. The one I really like from Present Toys is the Jim Carrey the mask. I have that one, and it's really well tailored. It's a great figure. It's like I love that movie. Grew up with that movie, so as soon as I saw it, I jumped on it. So I'm looking at it right now. It's a great figure. So
Present Toys did that one, and what was it? Daft Toys that did the other version, if I'm not mistaken. I think the Present Toys had the darker yellow outfit on, and like the nice tailoring. I agree, that is a really nice looking figure.
It is. The head sculpt. I think from what I'm told, and Pete was mentioning this, that some of them are from customs, and so they just do the thing, and so it's a really good sculpt. I'll try to bring it right now so you guys can see.
For sure, Eddie, what do you think about this piece, this custom, or the Present Toys announcement for Interstellar? And is there a companion piece that we should hope for these figure lines, or do you think the Matthew McConaughey represents the film well enough by himself?
I like Interstellar, but I don't think I love it as much as everybody. It's more of like I enjoy it. I actually watched it recently because it was like randomly on TV. And I think I like collecting random characters from random movies. I don't necessarily need a line. Like for me, Cooper Matthew McConaughey is the main character from the movie, so I'd be good with that. I don't need anything else. But I know I did see in the comments a lot of people were asking for Murph, so I think people would want to see that.
Young Murph or old Murph?
I would think like adult, right? Like just like
middle-aged.
Yeah.
Middle-aged Murph.
I would think that's who they want. But I don't know. I could see myself buying
3
like,
different
I
versions
like,
of Murph.
yeah, that'd be crazy.
I think they wanted the Anne Hathaway character as well. I forget her name, but
Yeah, that would be a good one too. Anne Hathaway. But I get random movie characters, so I know a lot of people don't like to buy like one-off movies things, but that's kind of like what I enjoy collecting. So it's definitely in my wheelhouse, just not a movie that I would get a character from personally, you know.
Heck yeah, dude. Nope, that's fair enough. I'm very much in the same boat myself. Classy Thomas, would you collect from Interstellar or not? What would you say on this, buddy?
I've never seen the movie, so I really don't know. But I think it looks nice. I mean, it looks very nice. But
fair.
yeah, I think the figure itself looks really good. I love the spacesuit. Looks awesome. But I would not. I don't see. Well, to me, this looks more like a statue, like one of those statues where you have a swap out head. Because, and I don't know that in any of the poses I've seen anything other than his arms down to his side. So I was wondering if that was intended to be more like just like a statue with a swap out head. Because if so, I might be able to understand why it's $600, because that kind of reminds me of maybe like one of those premium format figures that Sideshow does. But I see that a lot of work went into it. That base is awesome, but I don't see $600
For sure.
or $515. I mean, that's as much as I paid for what, Carnage or Venom, and
It does seem like a high price. I agree.
yeah,
But
it seems a little
though.
high. But yeah,
custom
that's
is
custom.
that's where it gets you, right?
Yeah, that's true.
not bad
That
for
makes
customers.
sense. Yeah.
Yeah. Empire Strikes Back says, really need to watch this movie. I've heard so many great things about it. I don't want to overhype it, though. As much as I loved the film, I didn't know a lot about it when I watched it. It's a bit of a slow burn at first. It does take a little bit of time to get into, and you have to have one of those days where you can really focus on the film. If you're doing other stuff, I think you'll miss some of the meat of it. Because Action Figure Academy says, Inter Snoozer, somebody that just didn't get into it, obviously, right? So varying opinions. I don't want to overhype it too much to Empire Strikes, but I really did enjoy it. It definitely hit me in the emotional chord. Just like the Guardians 7-pack that I'm still hoping they release for us at some point, the 7-pack, or for those bat suits that we saw from the film Flash. Yeah. Maybe a Murph 3-pack. That will be insane. Young
Someone
Murph,
said,
middle-aged Murph, and old Murph.
Someone said tar. That would be a cool accessory or
The robot,
to do.
that would be really, really
Yeah,
cool.
that'd be
Absolute
awesome.
Erwin says, they should have the robot from the Team Tars. That would be a great companion piece without having to commit to another actor's likeness too, right? Yeah. So, for sure. Guys, let's move on. Great topic there. Great thoughts, I mean to say. I wanted to bring these up just as kind of figure news for people who care about either the artisan rooted hair Anakin Skywalker from Hot Toys or the Joker version that's coming out, the artisan version. The release date, or I should say the pre-order window opening date here for Anakin is showing as Friday, August 18th at 9 a.m. And then for the Joker, August 17th at 9 a.m. Now, I think for most of us, anybody who's ever been in a queue lineup like this, if you wait for the email or you show up at 9 a.m., you are already probably 100th in line. There's a chance that you won't even get it. So I would not necessarily recommend waiting for the email reminder if this is a figure that you guys are looking for, especially if you're a new collector. Be in line, I think, a little bit early that day if you can be, because otherwise there's a good chance you'll miss out. I do think that scalpers will get a hold of these, as well as hopefully a decent amount of collectors who actually really want them in their collections, but I think they're going to fly. And I also think that the website is going to crash, so be prepared for some technical difficulties if you have this in your basket. Any thoughts on this, Pete, at all, or do you kind of echo the same sentiments?
I quite like the Anakin, but I'm certainly not going to go chasing it, and I couldn't care less about Jokers. I think I've said that before. Not for me. Yeah, so no, I can sit back and not worry about these two. I think.
Yep, no, that's fair. Sorry, I thought you were going to finish. I thought you had another thought there. I can't.
No,
That's it.
no,
Matter of fact,
that was me. No, short and
love to
sweet.
see
Yeah.
it. Jose, Thomas, or Eddie, any additional thoughts on this pre-order window opening up, or do you feel like that kind of covers it?
I'm kind of like Pete. I have Lightside Anakin, the original. So, I mean, I like this one because I saw like a comparison of the head sculpt, the one that I have, and this one, and it's definitely improved. And then the hair, if you can fix it right, looks lifelike. So I'd want to try, but I won't die if I don't get it. And the Joker's, I have the in-art one, so.
Right.
Let me know if anybody else has this issue, but I didn't RSVP the second you could, and so I RSVP'd yesterday, and I could for Anakin, but for some reason when I try to RSVP for Joker, it always gives me an error. So I don't know if that's because like so many people are RSVPing for that Joker or not, but every time I tried again right now and I still get it. So if anybody hasn't RSVP'd, and let me know if you get that error issue. But for me, I do like the Anakin. I have the in-art already, so I don't need the Joker. My brother is very excited for both. He's telling me to try for them both just in case, so he doesn't miss them. So I'll probably try to get both of them. Me personally, I don't think the price tag is going to be worth what they're offering. To me, it's just a nicer rooted hair job, and I have a feeling both of these are going to be over 500, and I don't agree with that price point just because it has wool hair.
For sure. I think the biggest fail for me on the Artisan line is not the Artisan line itself. I think they look like incredible figures. I don't even hate the queue system. If that's what they want to do, fine. I wish they were numbered. I wish we knew how many of these were actually being made. To me, that would justify the price point that they're asking for. I understand that the rooting on these figures does make it really expensive. I get that. But still, a numbered collection would be fantastic. I'm not going to talk about the quarter scale releases today on the show, guys, because I'm not much of a quarter scale expert, but seeing some of those quarter scale Iron Men coming up from Hot Toys this week and seeing numbered editions there, it's cool to know your number 3 of 300 or whatever. I feel like it's a miss for this Artisan line. It would have made me even more interested in trying to take part in this, despite my having the in-art Jokers, for example. Now, I also thought it was an interesting, what I feels like sales tactic for you to be able to join the RSVP list for the sculpted version of the rooted, of the Joker here as well, because it makes me wonder, like, are you not going to be able to just have like a normal purchasing window for that figure, or are they just trying to get more people to RSVP for that sculpted version as well, since it's going up at the same time? I'd be curious to find out what happens with the sculpted Joker, not just the rooted ones. But guys, keep an eye out on this. Let us know next week how the experience goes for you, if you're in the queue for this. Everybody hoping to get one, I've got my fingers crossed for you. Part of me likes the lottery system because it's like winning the lottery if you get the figure, but some people want to be in control of their own destinies a little bit. If you want to get yourself in that queue line early, hopefully you deserve the figure if you get it in your basket. Somebody had mentioned here, Mr. Masashi, great comment, says, I'm okay with a queue for the figure. I just don't want somebody goon fishing the item out of my cart. If it's in cart, it should mean in cart. I've not heard of that being an issue. Jose, you nodded there. Has that something that you've heard of happening to people?
Oh, it happens a lot, but not only with this, like concert tickets, things like that.
I see. Okay.
So
if it's in your cart, it should definitely be in your cart. I agree with that, Mr. Masashi, for sure.
I thought they held it. Don't they say that on the website?
I thought there's like a time
it's
limit,
held
like
for
4
5
minutes or something.
Yeah,
5 minutes. But could be wrong.
It's weird because sometimes it says it, you have it, but then you finally put, purchase, and then it says, oh, it's no longer available. And it's like, whoa, I did it within that window, so what happened? So it's weird.
Definitely. Guys, let's move on to this one. So we're looking at Hot Toys Spider-Man 2099. The previous pre-order window that was open for the fully plastic body with all of the joints. Of course, most of us know the history with this figure now. This was initially elicited. A lot of people laughed. A lot of people were like, it looks like a big Marvel Legends figure. It looks ridiculous. We hate it. Some people out there were like, I still think it's cool. I would buy it. Some people comparing it to Mondo. A whole lot of things. Most people, I feel like, for the most part, unilaterally like the head sculpt that comes with it. I do think it's a cool representation for the character. I think it's well painted, looks pretty cool. And the posability, the dynamic posability of this figure in its previous iteration of being plastic and jointed meant that you could pull off some pretty badass Spider-Man poses with this figure. But Hot Toys was listening to the negative complaints about joints with regards to this figure. So a couple weeks back, we saw this update from them that they were going to be giving us a newly tailored fabric Spider-Man 2099 suit to hide those joints. And this week we got a chance to see what that actually looks like. So I put out a video earlier in the week on the Ben Thomas show on my specific thoughts. I won't go too into detail on my opinion. I'll want to get the panel's thoughts here. For me, initially, I thought this looked pretty friggin' awesome, though. I think that this was still a win for the character, mostly because it matches the aesthetic of the other figures. The Miles and the Gwen, they don't have a jointed body. They have a suit that goes over them. So I thought the aesthetic looked better with regards to the figure. Now, since I posted that video, some people have made some really unique comments to me that I thought were worthy of highlighting. So one of the comments that I've heard most was, keep in mind the 2099 suit is actually a hologram over his body. It's not actually a fabric suit that goes over him. So with this suit now, seeing this upgrade, seeing it have the ability to bunch in the material is technically then less accurate to the character, because he didn't actually have a fabric material suit on. That detail had either breezed over my head in the movie, or I just didn't know that that was part of the character. So that did make me go, huh, hadn't thought of that. So Jose, I'll start with you. What do you think of the upgrade on Spider-Man 2099 suit here? Are you happier with this now, or are you one of the folks that are disappointed that they actually, in quotes, upgraded this with the material over the body?
So I like it. It is going to have its pros and its cons one way or the other, right? So it's going to bunch. It's not going to be as accurate. I didn't know about the glitching suit thing either myself. I just figured he just wore his suit. It's different with each iteration, so I wasn't sure about that. But I like how it looks. I personally was not going to get it when it was the Marvel Legends version. Some people like that, and that's fine because that's what they collect. They have, Marvel Legends and Mafex and SG figure arts and all that, and so it's what they're into. So I can see why some would be disappointed, because it's like, well, that's what you pitched at me, and that's what I ordered, and now this is different. So I can see that perspective. For me personally, when I saw this, I went and I got a pre-order on this one because I want to get this one. So.
Looks cool. The meatiness of the figure now, some of the musculature under the suit, I think looks all pretty fantastic. Pete, we're looking at an image here of the initial pre-order solicitation on the right, the newer upgraded suit on the left, and kind of what they look like next to each other. What are your thoughts on the suit, the upgrade itself, and do you think people who wanted the plastic version, should they get their NRD back if they no longer want this updated suit?
I saw the movie for the first time today. Really enjoyed it. Capture was great.
Nice.
Yeah. Just on streaming. I hadn't seen it at the cinema, so that was cool. I prefer it. It might not be, as you say, there's this, but then you couldn't have a movie accurate one if it's meant to be a hologram. There's no way you can do that. I think the joints were very distracting. You could probably get him in some more dynamic poses, but I definitely prefer. I would never. I mean, I'm not in for this, but I wouldn't have. If I was, I wouldn't have gone for the previous one. I would go for this one. I think it looks really good. And yes, if I don't see why people shouldn't get their deposit back if they really hate the new one. But I don't think we've seen any precedent of that, have we? Other than like the Tony Stank head. There was obviously an upgrade thing there, but that was just a head sculpt. So I don't know where Hot Toys would stand on that, or obviously the retailers that have been ordered through. I would think it's a minority, to be honest, unless you as you say. But you couldn't really pose him with Miles and Gwen and it not look really out of place. So I don't know who.
Well, so actually,
if you want to
I have that slide here. So like, if you see this here, Pete, on your screen,
okay.
This shows
this wouldn't have worked.
Jointed lung. But then if you look at this next one, like I kind of photoshopped it in with the new version, and to me it's a significant improvement, at least based on the uniformity.
Much better. And unless you're going to have him in such a dynamic pose that you could kind of hide the joints as best as you could, I think it would always just stand out as being something completely different. So I 100% prefer the new version. And you say he looks a lot beefier, a lot meaty. You know, he's got that real massive shoulders and stuff that's more accentuated now, I think.
Totally. Classy Thomas, I know you like posing your figures, obviously. You've some of your figure showcases of your collection. You've got some great pictures and photos of some awesome poses. What are your thoughts of this figure? Do you feel like the suit over it was an upgrade? Or did you like the original plastic version that was super dynamic and posable?
Well, I was hoping for a suit. When they did it, I went on ahead and ordered it because... Well, I ordered it when it was still that version, the one with the joints. And I said, well, you know what? I'll go on ahead, keep it ordered. I'm going to hope that they're going to put a suit on it. But if they don't, I still kind of liked it. Now, the thing that I like is that it looks like the hologram only shows up under black light. Because, I mean, like right here, I mean, you can kind of see it, but it's not really as visible. But it seems like when they shine the light on it, that's when it kind of comes to life. Mm-hmm. And I'm okay with the bunching. I mean, if you have a suit, you're going to have a little bit of bunching. The only thing I wish you would do, and this is something that I think they should do on all of their figures, if they used a 4-way stretched fabric and made it so it was a little bit closer in the crotch, some of that bunching would go away, because also it will give you more mobility. Because I had that problem with Spider-Gwen. If you try to give her in poses where her legs are kind of askew and kind of really spread wide, you can't get it out there, because all of a sudden, because the crotch winds up being lower than the figure itself, and it restricts the legs from getting into the pose. And fortunately, since you use ratchets, at least you can hold it there. But I really like this. I think that for me, it's an upgrade. I wasn't completely opposed to the jointed version, but the new version is definitely what I wanted. So now I feel like I'm really getting what I wanted.
Cool. Oh, well said, buddy. I was wondering, Eddie, what you think about the cape with the initial pre-order solicitation being that plastic material that clearly slots onto the body. Now with it being this material suit, do you think we're still going to get the plastic cape, or do you think they're going to give us something different, or is the cape gone with this update? What do you think?
That's interesting. I don't think the plastic would work, because before it kind of clips on, I don't know how they would do it with the suit.
Right.
Maybe they add like a magnet and it magnetizes to the back or something like that, with more of a fabric like web cape. I don't know. I wouldn't see them taking that out if he used it in the movie. I haven't seen the movie yet, so I'm not sure, but I would think that they'd leave it in and just find a new way to attach it. But I want to start by saying I have no skin in the game with this figure.
Sure.
I wasn't getting it either way. I'll say that when it was originally solicited as the like joints and everything, I thought it was cool, but I didn't think it was Hot Toys. A lot of people were comparing it to Mondo and stuff, and I thought if Hot Toys sells it for like a Mondo figure price, like $150, I don't see a problem with it. But I think it was like a normal Hot Toy price, and I was like, I don't think it's worth that price. It's like, because any Mondo figure is like 150 or under 200.
Oh, it's over 200 usually now.
Some are bigger, some are more. I got the Logan, and I think the Logan was like under 200. But
they've been slowly increasing for sure. But I get what you're saying though, for sure.
As long as it represented in the price, then I would have been fine with it. I know people don't like it that way. But now that it has the suit on it, I don't like it personally. I think the suit was like not thought out very well and just thrown on there. And to me, it looks bulkier, but in an ugly way. It looks bulgy, and like the chest and the abs look very well detailed, but I don't like the shoulders and the arms and even the legs. You could see much more detail in the musculature without it. And they've done other figures with a suit where you can still see the musculature and it still forms the body better. And I feel like because this was a last minute thing for them, or at least the prototype, maybe the actual product will be a little bit better. But in the prototype suit, I think it looks kind of ugly, in my opinion. I don't like the bulginess of it, so I actually like it less.
Tinfoil hat theory. Do you think it's the previous body underneath the new suit?
I hope it is.
You peel it back. I don't know if I'd have the balls to take a scalpel to it.
Yeah, I'd like to to see if you can do that, but I don't think it will be like that.
It's clearly I wouldn't say it's clearly a custom body though. I don't think this is a standard 6-scale figure body.
Yeah.
Like I think that they've done something with
bigger,
it, or they've used something similar to what this was underneath.
Well, you could already see that
if it was the same body, it just they wouldn't
the head
put
and
any
the
of the
neck
design
look
on
different
it.
already. They look bigger
Plain
already.
Yeah.
So it's probably a different body, but I was gonna say the hologram thing, I never knew that about 2099. I don't know if that's in the comics like that too, but I wonder if that's why Hot Toys originally did this figure like that, because they try to create accuracy and they're like, well, if it doesn't have a suit, we won't put a suit on it. And I just wish they came out and said why they did the things they did, because if that would make more sense to me, because I thought it was weird that they did it like this at all. I didn't know why they had done it, and if that's the reason, then it makes sense. But they don't even like say why they do things.
Or give both versions maybe as an alternative. Like I feel like anytime there's 2 SKUs, one ends up sitting, which is unfortunate. But at the same time, I think the selection would have been nice for collectors, because I think it would suck if I was the type of person that was like, I really wanted that plastic jointed version and now I'm not getting it. Like that. Yeah. That would be a shitty experience as well. And it sounds like there's enough people out there that do feel that way for sure, especially if they're looking for that kind of hologram accuracy. Like you were saying, Eddie, maybe Hot Toys actually had envisioned it that way, and they're like, well, I guess we're out to lunch. Here's your suited body. I'm happy that they haven't increased the price, or at least yet. And somebody asked here, who was it? Payton23. Welcome to the chat, by the way, Payton. Says, I wonder if it will still come with the Miguel head sculpt. It better come with that. That's what was originally solicited. I think the photos that we saw with this update are simply the updates. The cape remained a question for me, though, as I said, because you do see that initially, and now I'm not sure how it would connect to the figure itself. But they definitely better not remove that Miguel head sculpt. I think people would lose their minds if that was the case. Speaking of losing their minds, though, Pete, if you were Pepe the Frog, what figure would you put this head sculpt on in your collection?
See, I don't know what this guy is. I saw it on once
a meme.
Kit, and I thought it was hilarious. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know the source material. But who would I put it on? Yoda.
He's already green. I mean, it could fit.
Yeah,
it could fit. Look at the comes with the hand sculpts, and it comes with the headpiece there for sure. Of course, body's not included. So your pick is Yoda. Jose, who would you put this on in your figure collection?
Oh, that's a good one. The Joker would be cool. Chewbacca. I could put him on Chewbacca, or as Captain America. That'd be pretty funny.
For sure. We see a Billy Butcher here and a Loki. I could see for sure as well. Captain America would be a good one. I could see that. The Joker. Can you imagine? People just spent thousands of dollars, getting their in-art Jokers, and then they put the Pepe frog, the frog head, or the gloomy frog, based on the description here, on. That'd be good. What about you, Thomas? What figure in your collection would you put that Pepe frog head sculpt on?
Wow, that's there's a part of me that kind of wants to go anime with this, so I'm almost thinking maybe put it on my Vegeta.
Sounds really dope.
And then I could maybe do some little spikes for maybe drawing or do a little something to kind of give him a little speaking of some Super Saiyan hair flaming up in the head in the top. So that would be kind of fun.
That would be pretty fun. Empire Strike says Thanos. Payton says The Godfather. That would be a good one. Trembled asks, Black Widow or Captain Marvel. I could see it. Eddie, who would you put this on in your collection, buddy?
I'd probably pick like a meme figure like the 85 that had the head sculpt issue. Putting him on the Mark 85 would be funny, or putting him on the DX11, since there's so many better Jokers now. Like having it on the DX11 be like he's sad in the display. Like I would think of it more like that, like on a meme figure kind of thing.
Fair. That's fair. And your thinking is very much in line with mine, Eddie, because I would put this potentially on my Doc Brown figure because I was really not happy with that head sculpt, and I've got a custom on order for it. So this would be the stand-in for my Doc Brown until the custom rolls in. Guys, let us know in the chat or on replay, who would you put the Pepe the Frog head sculpt on in your collection? Let us know. I would love to hear it. Bo-Katan is better than the one it came with.
Oh, you hate to see
Oh my
it.
God. That's
Hey
awesome.
Ben, I actually have this ordered. So when I get him
Hey,
and put him
gotta
on
share some
something,
pictures
I
of
will
this
I will show some pictures of what he looks like.
There you go. Mysterio in the chat. Can you imagine? Toybox says, I want to get a few of these and use them as scrolls. Awesome.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Awesome.
yeah.
Absolutely. I, you know what? As something fun for the collection, just to fuck around a little bit, take some funny photos, I would be all over this. So I have not ordered it yet. If it's still available, I may actually do that after this show. Might have some fun with that. So, guys, on a serious note here, a real serious note. Mando season 3, not everybody loved it. Okay, I didn't hate it. It didn't hit on all cylinders for me, but when I watched the show, one of the characters that I was like, ooh, if I was going to get a Hot Toys from this season, I think this would be the one. And it was the Moff Gideon in Mandalorian armor. I think it's cool. Objectively, I think the figure looks pretty freaking awesome. It gives me kind of some Darth Vader vibes. It gives me some Trooper vibes. But I think the head sculpt is really, really strong. Now, I've got some comparison photos, and I'm going to get everybody's take first before I show some comparison photos at the end. So stick around for the thoughts on the comparison. But, Pete, what are your thoughts on the Moff DeLorean figure here? Moff Gideon in Beskar armor.
Yeah, I think it's really cool. I think the series was a bit lackluster, but I enjoyed those couple of episodes, those scenes. I thought it was pretty cool. I like the head sculpt. I think it's it's still not perfect, but it's an improvement on the previous one, which a lot of people did like too much. He makes me think of is it Zurg, the Buzz Lightyear's
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
It does
okay.
look like
nemesis.
that.
He was purple.
It's a little bit
I
like
can
that
see
with the helmet. Yeah,
I could see
so
that.
I kind of like it, and obviously it's got Vader vibes, obviously. But I think it's cool, and it's one of those ones where you could put all kinds of head sculpts on, including the frog would look really good. I think.
Including the frog.
So I know I really like it. I mean, I don't collect the Mandalorian line, but if I did, I think I'd definitely be picking this guy up.
If you did, would you display it with the head sculpt though, or with the helmet?
I think with the head sculpt, to be honest, I'm very much if a figure comes with a decent head sculpt, I try and go with the head sculpt with holding the helmet under the arm, and then you get the kind of the best of both worlds. Then, but obviously, if the head sculpt's not good, then go with the helmet. That's normally my way of doing it.
That's the way I felt about my Golden Jaguar figure, the Killmonger figure. I've got his head sculpt on the figure body and him holding his Jaguar cowl, because I thought both the cowl itself as well, or the mask, I guess you could technically be, as well as the head sculpt on that figure were awesome. I wanted to display both. You could definitely do that with Moff here, having him hold his Beskar helmet, right?
That's what I do.
For sure.
Definitely.
Jose, what do you think of Moff Gideon here? Do you think that this is an upgrade over the initial version? Do you like both? What are your thoughts?
So I never got the first one. I saw pictures of it. I just never pulled the trigger on it. And then once I saw the final product, it definitely declined. You lost some of the wrinkles there. I remember I thought this was really good initially, but then again, when you saw the final product, he lost some of the details. Some people really like it to have it in hand, but I personally think this one is better. And then it looks more like the actor, because I mean, the facial hair distinguished him as an individual character, but now you see this and you're like, oh, that's Gus Fring for sure. Like that's Giancarlo. So I see him definitely. It's a little weird with some of the angles when you put the eyes. Like the likeness isn't as strong when you move the eye slightly. But right here, just straight on the way you're looking at him, right, I was like, it looks like he's mad at me because
Yeah, definitely not
something
impressed.
wrong.
Definitely not impressed. For sure.
I think if anything, it's just that hair's a bit dodgy. The hair looks better on the original one.
Fair. That's
apart from
interesting. And you mentioned the wrinkling as well, and like some of the skin texturing. And I mean, for me, my theory is still that this is not actually Moff Gideon on the left, that it's actually one of the clones that we saw in the tank. All the clones, none of them had groomed facial hair. It would make sense to me if this was a clone straight out of the tank. Because again, I don't think anybody's in there, trimming their facial hair up, keeping them looking exactly like the original version here. When I first saw the figure, felt initially like, oh, this head sculpt, I feel like is so much better. It just based on my recollection. But this is why I wanted to hold out, and I was holding out for Eddie and Thomas on this one here. So this is a picture of the original figure next to season 2 picture of Esposito, or Giancarlo Esposito. And I think it looks pretty freaking bang on. The hair, the mustache, the expression. Suddenly it makes me realize how strong this first version actually was. Then we see the new figure along with the season 3 likeness, and I think that's bang on. And I'm like, the hair is kind of there, the waviness in the front, the expression on the face, all is good. So I actually think both are fantastic options. I don't think either one is better than the other. I think they both really represent the season in that particular look.
That's
really well.
different in the two, doesn't he? Yeah.
Really different, considering. So Eddie, what do you think here? Am I out to lunch? Do you now have a newfound respect seeing these comparison photos for the figure now that you've seen them?
Yeah, that's interesting. How much he changed in the 2 different seasons. But I always thought the first one was really good. Saw it in person a couple times, and I thought it was good. I didn't have any issues with it. And then seeing the new one, I thought that was good. I didn't have any issues with it. So seeing it back to back like this actually makes me feel more justified, because I know people I didn't know people had issues with the first one, and I didn't see anything wrong with the second one, and some people were like, oh, it's kind of off, and I was like, I don't know, both look like him to me. So
totally.
I think they both look good.
It sucks the first one doesn't have the rolling eyes, for sure.
Yeah,
I think
that
makes a huge difference nowadays for expression.
No idea nowadays what's gonna get the rolling eyes and what isn't.
It's a bit of a Hail Mary.
Feel like.
For sure.
I would use the helmet though.
You'd use the helmet. Yeah. The helmet is badass for sure, right? Big Dog Pound says, I actually think the second head sculpt is banging. I'm kind of seeing the appeal of potentially those collectors that have both. It feels like a very different look for the character from both of those seasons, very different representation. Thomas, what do you think, buddy? Were these figures something like, was this particular new release something that you're interested in picking up? Or do you just have a newfound respect for the figure itself, seeing some of these photos side by side?
Oh, I have respect for it. I don't really, I don't really follow Star Wars like everybody else does. But I do know Giancarlo Esposito, so I've followed his career for a long time, and in looking at them, I know exactly who I'm looking at. I do think that on this one, there is a little bit of upper lip. I think in the upper lip, there was he has like a little that front crease on the upper lip.
Oh yeah,
I don't see it on this one, and
anyways.
Because but that's the only thing that I think maybe could have been added. But it's an excellent likeness, and I think that the rolling eyes does help, because you're when you have your eyes in a fixed location, you're really depending on likenesses that are going to be staring at you straight on. When you can actually change the position of the eyes, that's when things kind of, for me, come to life a little bit more, and you can see more of the resemblance. So this is both of them are excellent. Those are like in the first one. Can you go back to the first one? Yeah, see, like over here, now Giancarlo basically, he kind of has droopy eyes a little bit. He kind of looks like he's half asleep a little bit. And in this particular one, he doesn't capture all the droopiness in his eyes, but it actually looks like he might have gone and had a little bit of Mandalorian Botox or something like that to kind of freshen up. But but other than that, I mean, it's these are two excellent sculpts. I mean, Hot Toys did a great job on both of them, I think.
Absolutely. I'd like to hear from you guys in the chat below. Is it this? Is it that? Is it both? I can see the appeal of getting both at this point. And I've heard some people say that if they got the newest one, maybe they'd put the new head sculpt on the old body. I don't longer think that would be all that appropriate for that version of the character, which is interesting.
Yeah. I don't know how he's done it, but it almost looks like 10 years younger than in the second season he does in the first one. Yeah, it looks really good. It looks really trimmed, doesn't he? So,
it's funny. Yeah. So let us know what you guys think. Mr. Masashi says, "Classy Thomas, best description ever. Droopy-eyed and I'm half asleep. I'm getting this one. Already pre-ordered it. You'll have to see it." Now, this is also one that popped up in our feeds this week as well as a release. So we're looking at the droid pack, I want to call it, the ultimate droid pack, maybe for some people. For me, this was not the ultimate droid pack. I like all of these droids individually. I loved Fallen Order as a video game, so the little BD-1 droid I think is a really cool piece to have. I think it's crazy we haven't got a Cal Kestis to go with that droid yet, and I would hope that if we do get a Cal Kestis, we may see the inclusion of a BD-1 droid. So I'm kind of holding off on even trying to track this pack down. I like the other two droids that come with it, while the pit droids, they even solicit a photo of 3 pit droids together in the images, but you can't get 3 pit droids put together. You'd have to buy this pack 3 different times, which does not make sense to me. With pit droids, you always see them as a 3s, especially in Mandalorian, and from even back as far as Phantom Menace, I believe, right, with the pod racers. So I think it's cool. For the most part, it's pretty much waitlisted everywhere I can find at this point. Like, it's gone really, really quick. Pete, what do you think of this particular release? Was this one that you're going to try and track down for your Star Wars collection?
Yeah, I really like it. Well, I've actually got it pre-ordered, not for myself, but we're starting to build my son's Hot Toys collection. So he turns 13 in about 3 weeks' time. So I've got him the Geonosis Battle Droid, so that will be his very first Hot Toys, and he's very much into the droids. So we did pre-order this, and we're hoping that we get it in before Christmas. But I think they're great. I think he's got the Lego BD one, sort of this sort of size. So that'd be cool to have this little representation. The pit droids are cool. R5's a classic. He's from way back in A New Hope, original trilogy. So he's cool. I've never been able to justify having one in my collection really, because he's not R2, and the sideshow one was okay, but it was always very expensive and undersized. So at least we're getting a properly scaled one. And obviously we've also seen that Hot Toys are going to be bringing him out on his own, a much cleaner version, because this one's quite weathered, quite beaten up, which I quite like, and would fit in more with the if you were putting him into an original trilogy display. But yeah, you make a very good point about the pit droids, and I think what will happen is that people possibly there's a lot of scope for parting these out. So I think people, if they really do want their pit droid crew, I think if you can get them, or if you've already pre-ordered them, you can buy your 3, and I think you wouldn't have a problem selling off 2 R5s and the BDs, to be honest. But obviously, as you said, if you can't actually get them now, and you haven't pre-ordered your 3 or your 5 or whatever you want, then you might struggle to put those together. But I think we'll see quite a lot of them parted out, and it may well be that the pit droid is the expensive one, because it's the one that you'd want in groups. So it might be that people buy it and go, right, okay, well, I'll sell you my. It would have been nice if they'd done like Mars Toys are doing with the Oompa Loompas, and that you buy additional pit droids would have been brilliant. But Hot Toys don't do that, so it's a shame. But I think it's a good set. Yeah,
I think it's interesting that I have been enjoying how the health of collecting has been improving again. There was a period of time there where you had to figure you want to move it on, you're going to lose money guaranteed, or you sit on it for months and end up taking a huge loss potentially. It was getting really difficult to buy and sell and use your collection to fund your collection, like we used to talk about. I like that collecting is becoming a little bit more heat on again, right? If you don't pre-order it, you might miss it. I still think though that there
Yeah.
are some figures that should remain readily available, whether that's clone troopers, whether it's droid packs, stuff like this that you might want to build a bit more of a collection
Stormtroopers,
with.
yeah. Yeah.
Right? Troopers are like, for sure, like, because to me, like, slowly over time, when you have those dry patches of release windows coming out, there's always those times of year where nothing's coming out new, so I'm going to go back to the well and buy something that's old. If there were always droid packs available, if there were always troopers available, there are some of those that I think would make for figures that should just kind of be always readily available. But these are some of those guys, because again, I think you should be able to buy and sell and trade and swap these endlessly between collectors up to a certain extent. I think that would be pretty cool. What do you think, Eddie, of the droid pack here, or the fact that they're practically waitlisted on most places now?
I think it's a cool pack. The only one that I would care to have is the pit droid. I don't care for R5, and I don't have the love that people have for BD. I never played the game, and I know he's in Mando, but it's just kind of there. But I do love pit droids, so if I got it, it would have been for that. But I did not pre-order it, and it does kind of suck that things are going waitlisted faster now, and you have to kind of make decisions quicker if you were going to want something like this. But it's also cool in the same way, so I don't have a problem with it.
Yeah, that's fair. What about you, Thomas? Is this a pack that you'd consider picking up? What do you think about collectability of figures like this that could potentially be purchased in mass quantities over time if people want to build out little collections?
Actually, yeah. I mean, again, I'm not a Star Wars follower per se, but I really like that one that has looks like a little mushroom, with the little hat.
The pit droid? Yeah.
Is that the pit droid?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think he's pretty cool.
On the top of his hat,
It's cute.
he squishes up. He squishes down. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh man.
The toy won't. The toy won't.
Oh,
but
in the
movies.
movie.
Oh, okay. But yeah, I mean, he's. I think he looks pretty fun, and the this little one here. It says BD72. Yeah, that one looks kind of cool too. I mean, I like mechanical looking things. Oh, look at them together. Looks like a little family.
Right, but they don't get sold together. That's the point. You can only buy one at a time if you get this. Pack,
that would have been something that would have been. Now I know this is not Hot Toys thing, but it would have been nice if they had either like standalone packs where you could say, for I don't know what their pricing structure would be, like $50 for a little itty bitty one, or you might say $150 for a pit droid, and then that way you could buy the ones that you want and have them in like little individual boxes or containers. But yeah, I mean, if I was going to get one, I want to get the pit droid because he looks like he's the most fun.
Seems like a pretty common consensus. Last but not least, certainly, Jose, what do you think about the droid pack here, buddy? Is this one that you picked up for your collection?
So I did not. I didn't pre-order. I wanted to keep an eye on it, and then obviously it waitlisted everywhere else. I really like it. It's cool that you get all three, but unfortunately, it's waitlisted everywhere, and there is sites of the cleaner version because of his impact on Mando season 3 and all that. So maybe I'll wait it out, see if there's a different version for R5. But yeah, I like it, and it's good for collectors to be able to add these little droids to the collection.
For sure. And I've heard a couple people talk about R5 because some of the lore around R5 has grown slowly over the past couple of years. In fact, there's even folks that have said that R5 has been written in to have some force sensitivity, which is interesting, and that he actually made his own components explode so that R2-D2 could go on the adventure with Luke as opposed to him. And there's some interesting story that surrounds R5. But to me, this is a skippable pack. So the fact that it's waitlisted at this point, I'm like, I guess I just missed it while it's safe on this round. But guys, I've got one more topic for us for the evening, but I do want to share one thing first before we get into our final topic. We do have 33 people watching, somewhere between 30 and 40 people watching live. Thanks for sticking through the show and getting nuts with us and the boys on a Sunday today, guys. I love you guys. If you get a chance, hit the like button if you can, if you haven't already. I'm terrible with remembering to do that, so I try and remember everybody when I can. Wanted to share this with you guys. So on the Ben Thomas show, I was finally able to get my merch merch back up here on TeePublic. So I've got the link on my YouTube channel for TeePublic, as well as in this YouTube video down below in the comments. If you guys are interested in Ben Thomas Show merch in any way, shape, or form, I will continue to add more patterns. We're going to get a Let's Get Nuts show shirt going here pretty soon. But the cool thing about TeePublic is it comes with things like magnets, stickers, sweaters. You can get phone cases, tank tops, whatever you want, you can get it done. These are becoming some of my favorite gym shirts for sure. I would say with regards to TeePublic, the quality is not amazing. So if you can get these shirts when they're on a discount like they are currently, I would recommend that. But if you like the tough nut to swallow, again, lots of stuff there for you.
I love that. That's very good. Really,
well, and this
really
design was made by Manny, one of the Patreons in the Collecting Weekly chat for me. He made it out of the kindness of his heart, and then was like, use it for whatever you feel like you want to use it for. So
love it.
If anybody is interested in Ben Thomas Show merch, it is now available. Stay tuned for more, especially with regards to our live stream.
And
show.
you can get 3 pounds and 8 ounces of nut.
There you go, made with 100% pure nut. You'll love to see it. You'll love to see it. So, and then any kind of profit that comes from this, whether it's one shirt or many, will go back towards the channel, obviously itself. We're getting ready to hit 2,000 subscribers here on the Ben Thomas Show. I figure I'll hit it somewhere in the next month or two. Awesome. At that point, we are going to do a figure giveaway. We'll do it live on the Let's Get Nuts Sunday show when we hit that number. So stay tuned for that as well, of course. But any of these types of funds, whether it's super chats or sticker sales, all goes back into the show. So I appreciate everybody and their support, of course, going on that. Guys, last topic of the day for me is secondary marketplace. So something that I've noticed in the last little while is obviously in 2020 we had this huge influx of collectors joining the 6-scale world. A lot of us became YouTubers at that point. A lot of us just started buying 6-scale collectibles for the first time. Maybe you had a little extra money. You had a lot more time on your hands, obviously, if you were stuck inside, so you could have a little bit more fun creatively with things like figures and photography. I've been noticing lately Facebook Marketplace, at least in my local area, is absolutely lighting up. One of my favorite figures in the collection is now my John Bernthal, or Jeremy Benthal, if you guys remember the joke, Punisher figure in my collection. And I got that on Facebook Marketplace for $300, new sealed in box. Now, keep in mind, some of the slides that I'm showing you guys right now are in Canadian prices. So if any of you folks watching from the States are like, $300 for that, Ray is insane. Canadian pricing, of course. Keep that in mind. But lots of random shit is coming up on Facebook Marketplace for me lately, and it makes it a dangerous place to go because, of course, if you have a little extra money, a little spending money here and there, you never know what you're going to end up coming home with. So my question for you, Pete, is where do you get figures when you get them, like through secondary sources? Is that through buy-sell trade groups? Is it through Facebook? Where do you get some of your secondhand?
So quite a lot of my collection is secondhand figures, and a lot of loose stuff as well, because I've never been really bothered about having the box or the accessory. I know for a lot of people that is a big part of the thing. I buy figures and I'll sell all the bits off that I know I'm never going to use, and it helps to make the cost of the figure more justifiable, and I get a bit of extra money back to buy the next figure. Facebook groups really, they became a big thing probably 5-6 years ago, and they've slowly grown, and there's quite a few sort of really good 6-scale collector groups. Obviously, I would tend more towards the ones that have got more people from the UK in, because I don't really want to be buying from abroad, because you've got time issues, you've got possible customs issues, although most people are quite happy to kind of mark stuff lower price and things like that. So and to be honest, you kind of get to know people, obviously, from a buying selling, and there's people that are really good, and they do really good prices, and I'll just message them and go, "Seen you got some figures out, have you got one of these?" And they go, "Oh yeah, I've got one of these, I'm going to list it," kind of thing. So I think it's building up those relationships, and I think a bit like with COVID and all those things that I think. I mean, I don't really know how it affects you guys. I know that worldwide the economy's had a real hit, but definitely in the UK, there's a real cost of living crisis at the moment. You know, with fuel bills and mortgage interest rates and stuff like that. So a lot of people are, and you know, it's one of those. You know, I shouldn't really be talking like this because I'm currently unemployed, but you know, it's a situation where you obviously can benefit from other people's misfortunes, which is, you know, you're not saying that's a good thing, but obviously, you know, a lot of people are having to pull out on pre-orders, or they're selling figures off because they've got bills and stuff and everything. So that has led to it being a quite a buoyant market at the moment, and you can get some really good deals if you are fortunate enough to still have, you know, some spending money. You know, once you've paid your mortgage and paid your bills and stuff like that, you know,
Pay your bills first.
It's definitely
Hey Pete,
definitely.
Hey Pete, here in the States we call them motivated sellers. So we don't have to. We don't have to call them people with misfortunes. You know, we'll do it. Motivated sellers.
I like it.
Fair enough.
I like it.
Fair enough.
Want a
and
good price for a quick sale. Yeah.
We've all had those figures in our collection too that we're like, if shit ever goes sideways, that's the first one that I'm going to sell. Let alone, you know, there are some in my collection that I feel like I'd be homeless with, like that I'll never part with at this point. I would take that fucker with me, but you know, like there are the figures in my collection that I would also move on if I had to. So what's the figure I'd take with me?
No, what's the name of that elevator on Willy Wonka? The one that goes all over, that moves in all different directions. That's what my life feels like. My life doesn't just go sideways; it goes in all different fucking directions. Sorry, I just thought of that. I thought it was funny, but continue.
That's amazing. Eddie, since we're with you, anyways, where do you get some of your secondary market figures from? Is it Facebook? Is it buy-sell trade groups? Is it people in the community? Or do you not buy secondhand at all?
Probably groups. Is what I buy mostly off of. I'm not in a lot of groups now, just because I felt that I was always checking them and spending money that way, so I kind of left a lot of the groups that I'm in. But groups is a good way. Also, just the more people that you know in the community. I hate message chats groups, but when you're in a bunch of them with friends, a lot of times they'll list like what they're selling in those groups. That's how I see some of the stuff, like statues or figures. That's what I see now. But I'll also check eBay once in a while. I don't like to buy off eBay because people will inflate prices to cover the fees and things, so that's a little bit harder, but you can still find deals on eBay, Mercari. Also, I'm fortunate enough to have a big like swap meet sort of thing for collectibles out here. We have Frankensons, so I'll go out there and get some stuff. There's not a ton of great deals out there because people are trying to get the most that they can out of anything right now just because of how cost of living is, but you still find some deals there too, so that's another secondhand.
Eddie, can I ask you a question, mate? You buy a lot of statues. I don't buy statues. Do you? I presume that the second-hand market's a little bit different there because you've got quite a high risk of breakage. And I know a lot of people say that, you know, if you buy a statue, you kind of buy it for life because it's a risk when you sell it on that it turns up broken. You know, to the person who's bought it, because they are a lot more fragile than the figures.
You definitely have to think about it. A lot of them don't have. They all have risk, but actually a lot of them don't have that much risk. It's certain ones, like the more intricate they are, the more dynamic they are, have more risk than others. So like sideshow, I would say most sideshow stuff you'll be fine shipping that out. And it also just depends. But people are a little more hesitant. There's a lot more in-person pickups with statues. And a lot of people, because it's a hassle to pack it up and it's heavy and stuff, and so more people will do local anyway. They won't want to ship, but it's doable. You can still do it. Just certain things, it's harder. It's funny that you mention it, because earlier Ben was talking about how the secondary market for Hot Toys is starting to pick up, what with everything going waitlisted now. The secondary market for statues is going increasingly down. It feels like even if it has a low edition size, it's still not like holding its value anymore. And so it's funny that Hot Toys are getting edition size now, because it feels like it almost doesn't matter in statues anymore that it has the edition size. It just seems like everything
It's not even
is going down.
Interesting. That's really, really interesting thoughts, guys. Thomas, do you pick up secondary market figures? Where do you normally get them from, if you do? And what's the best find you've ever had on a secondary?
Ooh.
Okay. I've gotten some things off of eBay, a few things off of Mercari. I've actually bought secondhand off of Mercari, and I've also purchased some. I made a friend in in one of the groups who he used to sell in the groups, and so if I'm ever looking for something, I always contact him directly, because sometimes he'll have something. Or there was actually one time he was advertising for some things, and I told him, I said, well, I'm really looking for this. He said, well, I actually have this one. He said it's on display, but if you're interested in it, I'll sell it to you. And so a lot of times if you make those relationships with people, and they know you're looking at something, a lot of times they will, I think people in this community are pretty good. They'll try to help you when they can.
Tag you in, look out for you,
Exactly, yeah. And see, like with me, a lot of times I'm usually buying parts. Like I'm trying to kit bash something, so I'm mainly looking for parts. So when I'm looking for parts, I go to eBay, but I think I might also start checking with some of the groups on like Facebook and things like that to see if I can buy parts there.
That made me smile when you said, collectors look out for each other sometimes. Because I would say, there is a huge amount of community members that are like that. It made me think of Lane Kramer recently, because I just bought his half Eddie Brock, half Venom head sculpt recently. He parted it out to me, which was amazing of him. I was able to get that in hand, which has escalated that figure for me dramatically, to be honest. But I'm not kidding. He packed this head sculpt in bubble wrap, then in paper, then in cardboard that was the size of a shoebox. I could have taken that box out to the driveway and played hockey with it for a half an hour, and it would have still been crispy condition. He packed that thing well. It was insane.
He's a man after my own heart. I do the same, and then I'd wrap it in about 14 meters of duct tape.
My God. I couldn't believe the size of the package versus the size of the actual head sculpt. It was fair enough. I certainly appreciate it, for sure. And then there are guys like Scott Bradley out there, Big Peps from Collecting Weekly, one of those guys that, when I was looking for what's called Joker, DX08 Joker. I was trying to think of the number version of him. The DX08 Joker. I was going through some tough times in life, and he was selling it, and he was like, "Well, you know what, buddy? I'll hold it for you if you're serious." He held it for me for over a month, for me to get my funds in order and get it all, and he sold it to me for an incredible deal. I mean, so there are definitely the folks out there that are willing to help out.
I think quite often, unless you're desperate for the money yourself, you'd rather wait to sell it to someone that that's not going to.
It's going to be super stoked, right?
And not going to have any issues and stuff. Yeah, definitely, yeah.
Absolutely. Jose, took a bit to get back to you, buddy, but what do you think of secondary market? Do you buy secondary? Do you typically buy new? And what's the best find you've ever had on secondary?
Wow, loaded question there. Well, I've done it kind of all like Eddie. We're both close to Frankensons, so I met a seller there through eBay once, and that's kind of how I started buying backwards a few of them, because he had listed, for example, the Wolverine from Days of Future Past, and he listed it for $350. I told Eddie this story, I think, and I asked him, hey, it looks like you're nearby. You're in California. State of Industry is about 30 minutes or so away. I said, could we meet up? And he's like, yeah, just come to I'm at Frankensons. I didn't know what it was, so he's like, come to Frankensons on Wednesday and we'll talk. And I said, well, okay. And I'm like, so I offered him less to pick it up, and he took it, and so he kind of became a guy for me. So I'd be like, look, I really want the Batfleck from BVS, and he's like, oh, I have one, no box. And I was like, well, I'll take it. So that's how I got a good deal on. I think he sold it to me for $280, no box.
Nice.
So and so things like that. And then I've also sold things on Facebook Marketplace and picked up things from Facebook Marketplace. The Chewy, talking about misfortunes, some guy, his wife was selling his whole collection.
Oh shit.
And so, yeah, so,
Oops.
Yep. And so she was like, "Yeah, he's done with this." And I was like,
He's
well,
done with this. Oh god. Oh my god.
Does he know that?
Sounds like she was done with him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh, okay.
So she's like, she wanted $450 for Chewy, and I said, if I pick it up, will you take $400? And she's like, yeah, just pick it up today. I was like, okay. So they were in LA, and so I drove down. LA's not too far from here; it's about an hour, so, depending on traffic. So I went, I picked up Chewy. So Chewy is up there, and then Han Solo, he was close by, but I got him from Offer Up. There's another app. It's kind of like Macari. It was like, so I got him from there. It was a kid. He was just like maybe. He had just started his collection. He's like, yeah, and I told him, hey, what's up, and then he worked out a really great deal. I think it was $400 for him as well. So I got both of them for $800, which is pretty good nowadays. I think that goes for $1,000 now or so.
Yeah,
so
somewhere in that range, yeah.
Yeah,
That's
so,
insane.
Yeah.
Cool. My best find on a secondary is probably my loose Bane that I got. The figure wasn't loose. He was just loose from the packaging. But he came, his coat was absolutely immaculate. And I got him for $100. In fact, I thought I was going to get ripped off. I thought maybe it was going to be like something was broken on him. But nope, $100 Canadian. That's all I spent. He just came with his hands and his jacket and everything. Like he didn't have the broken bat cowl mask. He didn't have that, and he didn't have his base, and he didn't have his box. But honestly, he stands in my collection beautifully. I love that figure even still, despite the 2.0 on the way. And we got a super chat from X-Men Supreme for $4.99 super chat. Thank you very much, dude. That's very, very generous. He says, I'm a newish collector. What are the good buy-sell trade groups? Jose, what would you say is your favorite buy-sell trade group?
Well, there's a few of them. I know if you join the group, some people will put their listings if it's allowed in that certain group. But I know there's what is it? Oh my God! There's one that's like the really popular one. It's BST something on Facebook.
16.
Yeah.
16 BST.
Yeah.
That one's like the most popular one. But for the most part, I just, like I said, I just go on Marketplace and I'll search Hot Toys, and then whatever pops, whatever pops up. But that's dangerous though, like because then you're getting a rabbit hole, and you're like, the other day I was looking, I was like, oh, someone's selling a Hulk for $400, and then I was like, wait.
For sure. I'll also see the occasional buy sell trade post on places like Jetta Patrol's site or marketplace listing in Facebook, for example, stuff like that. Or
all the bigger YouTubers usually have a sell group. Like I know George Medina has one from MCE. It's like MCE buy sell trade or Marvelous Collectors Entertainment buy sell trade, I think. And then they have Batman Statue Collector has a buy sell trade group, and like they're statue guys, but there's Hot Toys in there, and then Hot Toys Not Toys is another one, and then 16 BST is the biggest one, I think. They're all over. And then if you're into like 1/12 and stuff too, there's a group called Pence Pack, which is Josh Pence's YouTube like selling group. Every Friday they have a listing where you can put whatever in there, and it's a lot of 1/12, but there's Hot Toys in there too. Those are all the groups that I used to be in. So.
Awesome. All good advice. Anybody in the chat, if anybody else has another buy sell trade group you'd recommend to X-Men Supreme, definitely let us know in the comments. Keep an eye out there for that. Again, thank you so much for the super chat. Definitely appreciate it. I'm going to give you this for today, good sir.
What? Did we just become best friends? Yep.
Definitely appreciate it over on this side. It'll go to the cause, of course, for the figure giveaway here at Sub 2000. So Jose, again, I always keep you today for last but not least, but I think you're the first person we need to highlight on our way out the door today, because that completes most of our show topics. But this is the first time you've been on Let's Get Nuts. Is there anything that's coming up from you that we can look forward to, whether that's other YouTube appearances or Instagram or anywhere else people can find you if they like your take?
Well, first, thank you for inviting me, Ben. It was a lot of fun. Thank you so much for having me here. Well, whenever I get invited, I'm here. Whenever you guys need somebody, I'll fill it in. They call me the backup to the backup Avengers. So here I am whenever you need me. As far as content, I'm looking into it. We were talking about it backstage. I used to do a podcast with my buddy. If you want to get that up and running and get our Instagram up and running and show pictures of my collection on there as well. So I'll start it little by little, but we're working on it.
Awesome, dude. Well, you're absolutely welcome back anytime you want to come. That goes for other people that watch regularly as well. If you guys are ever interested in coming on a stream at some point, we have fun here. We're not too official. We can have a laugh. And if you want to start trying to grow some of your YouTube presence, or just take part in the conversation sometimes live. It's different being in the comments than it is being on camera, that's for sure. But all you need is a microphone, and you can go a long way and have a lot of fun with us. So if anybody ever wants to join, feel free to hit me up on Facebook, and we can go through some of the details of that. Pete, Only Fools and Collecting, of course, a division of Collecting Weekly. You just had a show this week, buddy, that was very, very entertaining with Elaine and Ian. Anything else coming up this week, funny. Or anything you want to highlight there, buddy?
So that was episode 98. So we're a month away. We're 2 shows away from the big 100 now. So that's
heck yeah.
We need to start organising stuff, because we've got all these ideas and stuff, and we want to get a load of people on. We have got a giveaway now. Lane's very generously donated at SH Figure Arts Carnage. So we're going to have a look into that. But very excited for episode 100. Scheduled for the 7th of September, so put it in your diaries. And if you want to come on, you're more than welcome. Eddie, Thomas, Jose, Ben. It'll be in the daytime on a Thursday, but if you can make it, it'd be fantastic. I know Thomas, you can make it, man. You're a man of leisure now. You'll be there. So
absolutely. I still haven't gotten the time and date in my head, but after I'll make sure I send you a message, and we can make it arrange.
Definitely. We'll make sure you know exactly when it is. But we'd love to have you on. That'd be great.
Absolutely. And since we're with you already, Classy Thomas, SpongeBob SquareBall's YouTube channel at 46 subs right now, on your way to 100. Yay. Always willing to join our stream and have some fun and take the time. I love you for that, buddy. I appreciate you for sure. And thanks for all your great points today. Anything coming up on your channel we can look forward to, or we should tune in for?
Well, I didn't think I was going to have anything ready for this week, because I'm actually working on a few projects, but I just got a couple of figures in the mail that I don't normally do reviews, but I think I'm going to review these. I got my prank villain.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, this is the one that's got the clown suit. And so I kind of want to show that one. And I also got my Shang-Chi Wen-Wu, the suit version.
Oh, this deserves that.
Damn! Peanut butter and jam!
So I'm kind of excited about that, because I have regular Wen-Wu, I have Shang-Chi, but I also have the remember what was his name, the original Mandarin, what was his name?
Trevor.
Trevor, that's right.
Yeah.
I actually got him cheap, but I got him because he had the chair. The figure's not bad, but I wanted the chair, so I think I'm going to have the suited Wen-Wu perched on his chair, and then have his fighting version and the Shang-Chi fighting around him. Decent. So I'm trying to figure out a way that maybe I'll do a posing video with those 3 figures. So I still haven't worked it out in my brain yet, but I think I may try to do something like that for this week. And then the figures I'm actually physically working on, then hopefully I'll have something ready by the following week.
Nice, buddy. Well, SpongeBob SquareBalls, Classy Thomas, of course. Thanks for joining back, buddy. Definitely
glad
appreciate
to be
it.
here. Thank you for inviting.
Jump into SpongeBob's SpongeBob's channel,
Bob's.
and hit the subscribe button. Give him some love and support. Eddie, I didn't bring your slide up, buddy. I apologize, but of course, Made Media is your YouTube channel, of course, as well as we see you often over on Collecting Weekly Tuesdays with me. That's been really fun having you back for sure. What else is coming up in life or on the channel that we can look forward to?
Not much on the channel because I just got in life. I got a lot of work going on right now, so I haven't had much time. But yeah, I'll get some videos going up soon. I just haven't had time for it. But you can find me on here on Sundays, Tuesdays on CW, Fridays I'm usually on LWO with all those guys. Whatever channel it's on, I know it rotates every Friday. And then for those of you that are interested in statues, I'm usually on Chasen Collects channel on Saturday evenings. And we talk about statues and kind of the same thing we talk here, just what's going on in the secondary market over there and trends and topics there. So that's every Saturday.
Awesome, buddy. Well, I haven't tuned into the Saturday show yet, but again, love having you here and having you back on Tuesdays. Eddie's also been crushing it in the gym lately, so if you have him on Instagram, I'm sure you'll see some posts there. Let's make sure we're supporting each other because living a healthy lifestyle is important. Extend our longevity in life if at all possible and look good doing it at the same time. And also for mental health. I don't know about you, Eddie, but for me, exercise lately has been great for my mental health for sure, and makes me that much more nutty on Sundays when I've got all this pent up energy that I don't know what to do with. And so we love you, buddy. Thanks for coming back as always. We'll see you hopefully next week if possible. Obviously, you guys are watching on the Ben Thomas Show today. We're at 20 subs away from 1900 or 1.9k, which is crazy. It's been an awesome journey. This past week, I had my deep dive into the Spider-Man 2099 suit. So if you missed it, go check that out, as well as some of the Star Trek Exo-6 news. I did some deep dives there as well. This week, I'm probably going to do my Wonder Woman actual full video. I posted a short of that yesterday. So stay tuned if you're interested in the Wonder Woman 84 and some deep dive thoughts there as well. Otherwise, you guys can expect to see us next Sunday, same time, for Let's Get Nuts. Guys,
hey Ben, before you go, something a little funny for us to end on. When you pulled up your page, I happened to glance over there, and where it says customized channel, I think my eyes were adjusting. I thought it said circumcised channel.
Don't do that. Yeah, that's not. That won't happen on my show. Don't you worry about that. Okay. So if that's a concern,
They don't do that in Canada.
They don't do that on the show on the YouTube channel. Okay. I won't comment in Canada. I don't know what everybody's preference would be. But with that said, guys, it is safe to say, once again, for a Sunday, with all of the people watching us live, I love your faces, of course. And Pete, with that said, I think we got nuts once again. Thanks for watching it.
I'll be back.
Right.